also have Mr. Joe, because I forgot that today was Wednesday. Actually, I knew it was Wednesday. I forgot we had our Nexus thing. I had a topic all ready to go. Welcome. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I hear you. I thought you were saying welcome to the
Oh,
the
no.
audience.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, welcome to all of you, Joe and everyone else. What's going on?
Uh, you know, uh, Pretty typical day. Just working on some of my articles, looking at a real estate investment trust for storage units. So
A real
um,
estate investment, what?
real estate investment trust.
As a company
Yeah. So
that
basically,
you're analyzing?
yeah, it's like a it's basically like a stock you can invest in where you get the rent as dividends through the shares. So it's like a crowdsourced real estate thing.
It seems loud at the coffee shop today. Are there people in the background?
Yeah, I think there's some more people here this time.
It sounds like more like a Waffle House.
Maybe I could adjust my settings too. I'm actually doing it through Chrome this time, so that might have changed my settings.
Oh,
So let me mic volume. Well, no, that's just going to change the volume. Echo cancellation off. Reduce background noise is on. If anything, it should be better this time. Oh well. Well, if the audience hates it, they can let me know, and I'll just reduce my mic volume.
it yeah. I'll go by them. It doesn't bother me that much, but it is audible in the background.
Gotcha. Well, I'll just mute while I'm not talking.
Um, okay, you can if you want. I don't know if that's.
But other than that,
Hey, Moose.
I'm
Well,
gonna get
what's
free
the
pizza
topic
today.
today? I forgot about this thing, so I didn't. We didn't pick a topic. So, do you have one?
Well, I'll start by announcing to folks that I'm gonna get back into doing regular streams again. Now that I'm fully over my cold and I don't have to worry about my voice or anything. So my next one of the Stocks and Coffee series will be Tuesday next week, and I'll be talking about the Fed, particularly as it concerns what might happen with the Federal Reserve under the Trump administration, and then what we can expect about investments long term, depending on what happens there. Because we talked about it before on a previous stream, how Jerome Powell was asked if he would resign if Trump asked him to, and he said no. And so there seems to be more interest in the Federal Reserve and what the new administration, might want to do about whether it's who's the chairman or the institution as a whole, and that can have an impact on investments. So uh, that'll be what I'm focusing on then. And then, um, as far as anything else, I didn't have any particular topics in mind. Um, I suppose if anyone wanted to carry on that 401k conversation that was happening, we could do so. I don't
Well, I
expect
want
that
it to be
likely.
more related to the Nexus and
Yeah.
community building, like drawing people into whatever we're trying to do here, whatever that
Hmm.
is. Um, if there's only two people watching so far, we maybe can wait for more people, and then if there's nothing to talk about, we can just open a panel and see what topics get generated from that. If it happens to be 401k, that's fine.
Yeah. But one thing I also want to point out is now that I'm working on more things with my channel, I'm going to put out a date pretty soon for when I want to have that Monopoly contest scheduled. Um, and I'll be announcing like the terms for that and how to do it. I'm also
Oh,
going to make a Discord server specifically for my channel. Um, and I'm going to make the membership in the server related to the fundraising for the contest, because I want the winner of the game to receive money as a prize, so that when they are making decisions in the game, it feels like an actual investment decision to them, because there will be an actual prize at stake. And that they will have more of a risk management mindset with that. So um, I'll have more about that on the way, but I just thought I'd let folks know that that's something that's going to be happening soon, and it's going to be part of this Nexus thing in terms of these interrelated projects that we do as a YouTube community.
sounds ambitious.
Mhm.
How did your conversation with Nathan go today?
Yeah,
I
that
went
was
to stop in, but I saw you had already left.
yeah. I left so I could get a little bit more done before we did our stream now. And he and I were just lightly chatting because I saw him in there, and I'm like, oh, what's he doing? I probably got a bit distracted. I should have worked more on my article because I'm going to be going to a friend this evening his house to get some free pizza. So um, that's going to compete with some of my time today. But um, Nathan's an interesting dude. One thing I talked about with him was that he had brought up how he often gets mislabeled or miscategorized based on what people think they can surmise about him. What the clues people detect sort of give false signals as him being a Trump supporter or being a Christian. He said just as some examples when he's neither of those things. Um, and he identifies as libertarian. One thing I noted about him that was interesting is that he does not have the personality that I normally associate with people who are libertarians.
Oh, it
Um,
has a certain personality.
it's something I've noticed over the years. I think people who tend to be more self-identified libertarians are more individualistic and egoistic in their personality.
What does
And
that mean? Like I know what
well,
it means as a concept. I don't know what it means as a personality description.
well, in a more worst case scenario, if we think about like where it could be on the bell curve, like an extreme end, is people who are more me, fuck you, I got mine. Um,
Oh,
I would
that's not the
say
libertarians I know.
it's most of the ones I've encountered over time for whatever reason, and um, if nothing else, I would say there are definitely folks who are more inclined to be disagreeable. Um, and Nathan, I find, is more of an agreeable mentality. He's more of a listener. These are not things I've typically noticed in people who are self-described libertarians. Um, and in fact, I don't know that it's a trait that you necessarily see in anyone, especially if you talk about being a good listener. Um, Anyone who is observably partisan in their behavior um, of any
Well,
variety. But
even though I'm an enlightened centrist, I consider myself pretty partisan lately. But
mhm.
I feel like I'm a fairly good listener.
Maybe, yeah, maybe in your case, I do see that you have that trait much better than most other folks. I'd say to the extent that your listening skills are challenged, it has more to do with just you know being autistic than you having some sort of partisan bias that doesn't let you get around something.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking. Like it just sounds more like stereotypes than an actual. I've never really. I associate personality to me is so individualistic. I don't associate with any kind of group trait really. Like Christians have a certain personality, or gays have a certain personality. Like you have all personality types show up in every group I've ever observed or been a part of. So for me, they're not as correlated or tied together as it sounds
Well,
like.
I think personality types certainly make uh, political affiliations more likely than others. So I think a lot of people will easily forget that there are conservative Democrats, and there have always been conservative Democrats. People don't think
That
of
to me is a set of
yeah,
values, not a personality. Like there's assholes on the right and the left, and there's good people on the right and the left, and there's fun people on the right and the left. There's miserable, depressing people on the right and the left. I can't think of a single personality type that I would associate with one side or the other than like the Karen, busybody authoritarian types. But they used to be on the right too, when the Christian right was ascendant.
yeah. Well, I think our values in many ways are influenced by our personality types, right? So I think people who are more disagreeable, for example, would be more likely to value free speech as a value because they want to be able to disagree and not have bad consequences for it, right?
Most of the disagreeable people I know seem to be on the left lately. Like
Right.
that's one of the things that turned me off of the left was their nasty personalities. About they just seem miserable and they seem to hate everything.
Mhm. But I've also noticed that people on the right who are big free speech advocates are also, I mean, they look for debates and things like that, and that's a thing that's interesting to them, and they don't want to lose the ability to do that. They don't want to go to jail because they had the wrong debate, and that's essentially what's on the line if you take away free speech, right? And so the people who aren't really into that, and maybe people who are more agreeable, who don't like to go against the room, might not care as much about free speech as a value, right? And you could do this with so many other issues. People who are more aggressive might care more about gun right issues than people who aren't, right? Because
I don't necessarily make those same connections that you do. Maybe it's me, but I see personality as its own axis, independent of all that other stuff. And you could have any combination.
well, I think if you just put yourself like in the mind of someone who's like not aggressive, they're probably more likely to ask themselves, "Why do I need a gun?" Right? And then they would think, "Why does anyone need a gun?" Guns are silly, and
That seems like that seems like a stereotype. I wouldn't think that just because they don't have an aggressive personality
I'm talking
that I
about at
can draw
scale.
any conclusion about their position on gun rights.
I'm talking about the odds, right? I'm talking about patterns. So what I was saying to Nathan is that he's an exception to the pattern, which is why I think he's interesting,
I
right?
think it's the
So
pattern that's flawed. Like he's an exception because the pattern itself is very low resolution. So it's a lot of
maybe.
it's easier to see the exceptions from it because it's just a rough little heuristic.
Yeah. Well, I will say, talking with other libertarians, that it's like, especially people who've tried to be active in the Libertarian Party, they have related to me that part of the struggle of the party ever getting off the ground is that people are so individualistic in that type of party that when you need to work together to make the party successful so that it can actually get elected, that in itself is difficult because the personalities that naturally come to something like the Libertarian Party don't want to do that. Um, and so, it's difficult to imagine that the Libertarian Party, even at its best, will ever be more than 5% of the vote, just because that's the kind of people that are trying to bring it together. Whereas with if you think about what the left and the right do, they both tap into a more collective type of mentality, and they find some success in doing that. There are different types of collective impulses, I think, but uh,
Maybe part of it is what we're talking about when we say personality. We may be talking about two different things. I am looking at this study trying to correlate big five traits with
mhm.
political positions. I'm still making my way
Well,
through it. I'm even like I'm not quite interpreting this table correctly, but even if I am, the percentages are very very low so
well,
far.
I
I don't see
recall
anything.
Jonathan Haidt had research showing that uh, there are certain types of values
The moral
that are
foundations.
that are predictive of whether people are liberal or conservative.
I don't know,
So,
but I don't know about predictive of, but maybe correlated with a
well,
bit. Like
we'll say that.
hey Bex, and I know like things like fairness were found more on the left, but there's a version of it that's found on the right called proportionality. That he's theorizing the same foundation. It just shows up as fairness on the left, more equal and equity, and it shows up as proportionality on the right, which is more merit based. But that it's the comes from the same impulse.
Mhm.
Hey Bex, hey Moose.
Yeah. Well, Moose, I'll just point out, like, I don't think I've met very many soft-spoken people. In fact, I don't think I've met any soft-spoken people, except for maybe Nathan, who are self-described libertarians. I have met some who are liberals. I've even met some who are conservatives. Um, but you know, there's a significant overlap between most of libertarian thought and the general value of individualism. Right? We can talk about individualism as being more than just a political thing, right? It's social and cultural
But
in many
even
ways.
that, I wouldn't call that a personality trait. Maybe an orientation. But personality to me is like, are they? Do they have an aggressive or assertive personality? Or are
Mhm.
they more sanguine? Are they more kind of laid back and mellow? Are they quieter? Like it's how they come across when you're interacting with them. I call personality, not necessarily if they're individualistic at their core or collectivist at their core. So that's what I'm saying. Like maybe when we say personality, we're not even talking about the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I
Like
mean, I
I
would
would say
say.
Nathan has a quiet, soft-spoken,
Mhm.
very thoughtful, deliberate personality, but I know people from any group I can think of, I can find somebody with that personality type in that group. So I don't coordinate those specific personality traits with any particular group, political ideology, value system, orientation, anything like that. It's its own axis, and it can appear anywhere in any group because all of those other things are also on their own axes.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
I would
I
say
just want to
it
make
can
sure when
appear
we say
anywhere.
personality, we're even talking about the same thing because things like individualism to me is not even necessary. I wouldn't say somebody comes across individualistic. I would say they come across as assertive, outspoken, headstrong, strong-willed, etc. But I wouldn't call that individualistic as a personality description.
Well, I think you kind of touched upon some personality descriptions that would likely be encapsulated. So assertiveness being one of them. And so Nathan, like you said, he's soft spoken, he's mellow. And if I were to say, like, just in the course of my interactions throughout life with folks, I would say those personality traits seem to be more common among liberals. Um, they're less common among conservatives, but still seem to be more common among libertarians.
That could
And
be
so
just the limit of your
it could be,
selection. Because I
but
can think of that personality type in any group I've been in. I could find people that were more assertive, less assertive. So in your mind, they're associated with particular groups because that's where you've experienced most of that personality type. But in my mind, I've experienced like thousands and thousands and thousands of people in my life. They're not associated with any particular group because I could take any random group and think of people from that group that personality is associated with. So maybe you just have a limited range of
maybe.
experience to draw
Another
from.
thing I've noticed among libertarians is that they seem to be more inclined. They're very action oriented. Like they like to do things. They're often in the progress of doing something, whether it's they have very active careers
And
or they
again, I
have
wouldn't call that a
very busy hobbies.
personality trait,
Well,
but
I'm sure there's like one or two underlying personality traits that lead to something like that. But they're not very passive people in terms of just whether they're going to be well, maybe not passive, but they're not very idle people. And so, since they're often seeking out activities, um, things that tell them no, right? So rules or institutions that tell them no are a problem. And so this is could be an explanation for why much of libertarian thought is appealing to them. Um, and so whereas I think people who have more collective mentalities are much more likely to maybe find some contentment in at least periods of idleness where they let whatever the prevailing system is sort of fill the void of activity rather than their own things and or maybe share activity with other folks.
yeah,
So like
I think we're just talking about two different things. I see personality as something very surface.
yeah, like I
It's
see
just how you come across to other people, or your a pattern of tendencies you have, and things like individualism or how much of a doer versus a dreamer you are. I see as
Mhm,
more. It's a deeper layer than I would call personality.
mhm.
I would call that maybe an orientation.
I guess to some extent it depends on what we mean by personality. Like
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
yeah,
This whole
because
conversation.
are you looking at personality more from the lens of like the big five personality traits?
Not really.
Okay.
Like you have a very calm, quiet, stoic personality. Like
Mhm,
I can just. It's not hard to describe personalities.
mhm,
Like Mike has a very exuberant. What does he call himself? A lion, an alpha. He's very talkative. Like
mhm,
that's how I would describe Mike's personality. He's very
mhm,
excitable, exuberant, gregarious, assertive. You're more calm, laid back, quiet, soft spoken, deliberate, etc. That's how I would describe your personality. And I could go to any group. I could go to a group of Democrats and find somebody with Mike's personality, somebody with your personality. I could go to a group of libertarians. So personality is like the surface layer of how you come across to other people, to me.
Hmm.
So that's how I'm using it. So when you say because Nathan is quiet, he doesn't seem like your typical libertarian, it doesn't make sense to me in the way I'm using personality. That implies that if I go to a libertarian meeting, they're all going to be talkative. They're all going to be like Mike and talkative, and there's not going to be any quiet libertarians. And I know plenty of quiet libertarians. They show up on these streams. Most of the libertarians that show up on YouTube are more dreamers than doers. They spin off these libertarian utopias that they talk about for hours and hours and hours in their mind, and none of them actually have taken any kind of step to manifest any of them. So again, I think it's just it's a separate domain that I don't necessarily see correlated with any particular political position, opinion, ideology. And so that's what I'm talking about by personality. I would not be able to tell your political viewpoint by hanging out with you at a coffee shop just because you have a quiet personality. I would have to dialogue with you and ask you questions and get your opinions on specific issues before I would have more of a sense of what your political orientation is. Your personality alone would not communicate that to me
Yeah,
because I
and
don't
I don't think
associate
it
it with any
necessarily should.
particular group.
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily. Like, I think it is bad that. So, to what Nathan was saying is that people often mischaracterize him, and I think that's because people will essentially reach a conclusion based on implicit signals, right? But they could just ask questions to get the explicit signals that they need to know or not. And a lot of people just skip that step for some reason.
Yeah,
So,
I know they do it with
so
me too.
my
But
point isn't really so much that, and I would say, oh, if people are like this, we should assume these things. But it's just a thing I've noticed that once a certain affiliation or set of beliefs are confirmed, I do notice certain personalities seem to gravitate a certain way.
okay, I guess I haven't noticed that. So we're noticing two different things then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, people read all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They non-verbally read each other. For I
Yeah.
don't know what they're going off of, what interpret unless they verbalize any of it.
Mm-hmm.
That is an invisible domain of experience to me. It means nothing. If they're doing it, fine. I can't control that they're doing it. I can't control what conclusions they're drawing. If people were to just non-verbally read me without any kind of dialogue, they would come up with 100 different conclusions about me, depending on who you ask, I'm sure.
Now, I
I've
will
been
say
told
there.
I'm intimidating. I've been told I'm scary. I've been told I'm boring. I've been told I'm non-threatening. I've been told I'm calm and comforting and I make people feel at ease. I have been told a range of things about myself from people just experiencing me non-verbally. So
I've
that's
actually been
never an
told that.
accurate guide to anything for me.
Yeah, I remember when I was an ROTC cadet. Um, I had this This was the most interesting because we from time to time we would do these peer reviews of each other, and one thing where there was any like a it would almost have been a perfect 50-50 split if there weren't an odd number of cadets in my class, but basically half felt that I was very like cold and unrelatable and you know what you might think of as like the negative extreme of the stoic personality, and then the other half thought I was warm and friendly and personable. And
The
those are
same
like
people, like same group,
same
were
class.
all
It's just
experiencing the they had the
there was a
same exact experience of you and they were getting a different read. Yeah.
the complete opposite interpretations, right?
Hmm.
And I thought that was fascinating, um, and I suspect that's continued throughout my life. So people can definitely pick up on different things, and I think that
So
sort of speaks to
that shows right there it's them and not you. If 10 different people are getting 10 different reads on you and you're not changing anything about you, like you're the one constant, then it can't be you. It's got to be they're filtering it through their particular experiences and
Well,
biases and
it
their own
definitely shows that
personality.
like the data is often, or the data are only often as good as the tool by which we measure them, right? Um, and I can definitely see, like, in my interactions with you, Jeff, versions of you where you could come away with sort of a softer or harder image of you. Uh, like when you're telling off not laws, that could definitely seem like the more aggressive or threatening version of you. But then when you get a super chat and you're like, "Oh, thank you so much," that's definitely the softer side of you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Um,
But also that's different. Those are different expressions. So like I'm talking about the same, like the not lost thing. If 10 different people got 10 different reads on that one thing, because if you switch to me react to a super chat, that's a whole different data point. And
mhm.
so you're comparing two different data points, so you're going to get two different reads because you're working with two different
Well, there's also the
phenomena.
possibility that some people will have different sensitivities to those data points, right?
Yeah,
So some
yeah,
people could see both, and they will detect you popping off against not laws more than they will you being grateful for the super chats. Some people might think, "Oh, not laws is asking for it. Jeff's not being crazy." But isn't Jeff awfully grateful when he gets super chats? What an interesting
yeah.
trait about Jeff. So
That's what
just
it's all more. It's always about them, not me.
Mhm. Exactly.
And same
Uh,
when I'm reading somebody else.
yeah, and I will say that fundamentally, though, while you can't say personality type ABC will always be liberal or conservative or libertarian, um, if you listen to a person's story, you can certainly connect the dots as to how their personality led them to being, whatever it is they believe. Um, there's always some sort of phenomenologically logical connection there, even if it's not logical in the sense of like what makes sense, right? People do things that don't make sense, but in terms of like the way that person operates, right? There'll be some predictable logic to it, right?
Yeah, but then I would say that goes deeper than personality. Once you get
Yeah.
into their story and their history and their personal experiences and their background, you've gone beyond the personality layer.
I guess in some sense, it's talking about the variability of what intrinsically motivates a person, right? Um, and so some people might appreciate a good joke more than others, right? And so that's going to lead them down certain paths that the others won't. Um, that'll cause them to feel like a moment in a party different than others. Um, it'll definitely make them feel differently about how angry or not angry they get about what a comedian said, right?
Yeah, I think so. Some people react to jokes differently than others.
And it's like that with a lot of things. Like I can see, like if you're somebody who can't have fun unless you're drunk, right? That'll also affect where you go in life and in many ways the things you value. And then if there's somebody who just, let's say you're like a high conscientiousness type of person, right? You might think, why would I ever put alcohol in my body? My body is a temple. I have to learn how to enjoy life without alcohol. You know, what's that,
Yeah,
Jeff?
but I don't know that that would lead them to any particular political party.
Oh yeah, sure it would. It would lead
I'm
them.
not making the same connection.
It would.
Just because someone doesn't drink alcohol because they're conscientious, I wouldn't be able to predict what their politics are from that.
They will be a Republican every time, 100% confirmed. It's in the science, don't you know, Jeff?
I'm skeptical.
No, if that were true, then they wouldn't have gotten mad about that Budweiser commercial. which I thought was funny that Not Laws brought that up because wasn't that like what was that 2 years ago now? How long ago
The
was
one with
that?
Dylan Mulvaney,
Yeah,
where they tried to shame beer drinkers for being too manly.
yeah. What? When did that happen?
Yeah, I think it was about 2 years ago. And the person that did the campaign was some feminist that they brought in. They had interviews with her saying where her exact goal with that campaign was. And she was talking down on, we're trying to change the perception of beer drinkers from these drunk frat boy guy mentality to, and that's not how beer drinkers see themselves.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I don't think stereotypes are necessarily bad. They can
But
lead
they're
to bad.
shortcuts. Like they're shortcuts that are supposed to get replaced by a deeper, richer sense of reality. So they're useful as a starting point or as
I
an
was literally
initial
thinking starting point.
heuristic.
I had starting point in my head as you said that, and
But it's
yeah.
when you get locked into them or you over rely on them.
Well, and then there are folks who, noticing what you just said, are basically anti-stereotype, or at least rhetorically they are. And a lot of people who are the most anti-stereotype often respond with some of their own stereotypes about the people that they think are the stereotype causers. In this case, I think like beer drinking men.
Like the Karens.
Yeah.
But the Karens usually conform to stereotype pretty accurately. I wish they didn't. I'm sorry to say,
So
but
on
they
that
do.
note, I wanted to run something by you, Jeff. So a buddy of mine messaged me a couple days ago, and he asked me, "Have you noticed that ads / marketing are all clearly run by women?" And I wasn't really sure what he meant by that, but he said that he felt like most commercials these days have like very feminine undertones. Um, and he says like a lot of it is like he said it's in girl speak, and he gave an example of it like revitalize your routine, like things that girls say. And I can't say I had really noticed that, um, but he did drop it, so now I'll see if I notice it more. But I just wanted to
I
know.
would say I would not associate that with rhetoric that would appeal to masculinity.
Mhm.
But most of that corporate speak does. I don't know who it's directed to. It doesn't seem to
Yeah,
be directed at any real humans.
yeah. My first thought was that it was more corporate talk and less feminine. Now maybe we could imagine that a lot of corporate talk lately has been feminized to like avoid being offensive or hurting
Well, I was
people's
about to
feelings.
say it's that trying to make it as denude it of offense as much and so it becomes bland and neutral, and that seems to be more like if that's your go with language, it seems like hiring a woman to do that would be a better
Like
investment than a male.
I'm not. I My guess is that the term plus size model did not get coined by men. Maybe it
Probably
did,
not.
but my guess is that it didn't. Right?
Or
Um,
body positive.
yeah, exactly. So there's definitely things like that where, but there's also just in general, I think it's a common thing in corporate culture even before because we're focusing on like this recent aspect where yeah, corporate lingo got more woke, and that's definitely a feminine impact there in terms of just a lot of them are feminist activists doing this. And it's part of the DEI ESG stuff. But even before that, corporations have always wanted to put positive spins on things. They love using words like that. It's like it's a sales thing. If you are good at sales, you often portray things positively over negatively. It's even something I would teach people at when I worked at that law firm, um, on how to go through a sales call better. And one thing I often would tell folks is don't say the word unfortunately. So let's say the potential client is asking, I want this to happen. Is it possible? In some cases, it depends on what they're asking, it just isn't possible. Like, not only is it not possible, like, it would never be possible. Or it's like, it's a weird.
I
thing
hate
to,
the word unfortunately when they use it.
yeah. So I would say don't say the word unfortunately, because if you say
I also hate the
unfortunately,
word actually.
um, it just when you say unfortunately, it just immediately puts a bad tone on the conversation and therefore the nature of our service. And if you're trying to get a sale, you don't want to do that. So you would just give it straight no, and I would say, here's what you do: you confirm, say no. Our attorney says that's not something that the courts do, or there's not a mechanism for that in the court system. But what our attorney can do is this, right? Say that can't be done, but this can be done, and create establish a positive statement, right? This is possible. Don't just simply say, "Oh, this isn't possible." Isn't that sad? Unfortunately, right? So this is not. This is something I see a lot of corporations do um, in their messaging and marketing. This sort of approach to language. Right? I'm not normally language police, but if it's my job to get sales and I want to be a competitive salesman, I have to think about this stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for people not using unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. It just seems insincere. It's a canned response.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I don't feel like they really feel for my misfortune. I think it's a way for them to avoid conflict and avoid having to be direct about the issue. And it's kind of a conversation stopper. Unfortunately, we can't do that. And then I'm supposed to like take it as sympathy and not push the issue further.
Yeah, and I, I don't find like there's a lot of things that I think that are meant to display sympathy that really just fail in practice, and that's you basically described it perfectly. It does not actually
But
convey.
I can tell when people are running a script with me and when they're
Mhm.
being having a genuine conversation. I can usually tell when they're
Well,
genuinely responding from their personality to me and when they're just giving some canned rote response that they use for everybody.
and that's what I would try to emphasize with folks. Like, know our product, right? Understand what their problem is. Understand why they're asking that, and rather than say, "Oh, unfortunately, you can't get what you want," you say, "No, it can't be done that way, but this can be done this way. So this may still help you. This may still help you meet your goal, or this is a result that's similar to what you asked, or it's getting in that direction, right? You still connect it with what they want,
And really, it comes down to knowing your customer and how to talk to them. If you
right?
know
And
your
if
customer, you're going to know how to communicate with them.
exactly,
Stereotypes exist. I think the question is the extent that they correspond to reality. They're a form of induction, and you have to constantly keep refining them.
well, one thing that's interesting, Jeff, is like you often go back to saying things about yourself like, "Well, I'm Cajun," right? You say, "So it's why are you like this, Jeff?" And you will go back, "Well, I'm Cajun." Um, might say that's a form of the way that you do it seems to be positive stereotyping, right? This is my people, this is my heritage, this is who I am, and it explains why I'm this way and not another way.
Well, I guess that's my way of saying it's cultural, like, and that if you experience people from that culture, you would experience similar traits as you're experiencing from me. And I don't always know why, but that's one of the explanations I offer. Some of it could be neurodivergence. Who knows? Some of it could be
Mhm.
PTSD. So I try to offer some kind of context for behavior that's perplexing people about me.
Mhm.
But I do know a lot, especially when I'm outside of Louisiana, when I'm in other cultures. A lot of the behavior that catches people's attention once they describe it in my mind, I can easily identify it in my family and all my friends back home. So that's why that's a default a lot of times because the behavior they're describing, I can tell it's new to them
Mhm.
because they haven't met people from that culture.
Mhm.
If I were in Louisiana or even the South and it came up, I would probably not have to offer that as an explanation. I'd probably have to say, oh, that's the autism or that's from living in Pacific Northwest or whatever. So I'm trying to adjust. First of all, I'm listening to what the actual behavior is that they're describing, and then I'm trying to come up with the best context for that behavior. And a lot of times, outside of Louisiana culture, it does happen to be cultural.
How long would you say has living in the Pacific Northwest like changed you culturally, like affected, like taken the Cajun that was you and tweaked it to something more in tune with that region?
I don't feel like it has because
Hmm.
I'm pretty disconnected from the culture. If anything, it's made me more cautious about socializing at all. Like
Ah,
I don't just walk out of my front door and start connecting with people like you can back home. Back home, you can leave your front house and go to the grocery store and talk to everybody around you with, very easily. Here, I just keep to myself. I don't try to initiate connections with people. And that's exactly what they told me when I moved up here. They said don't talk to people when you're at the grocery store. I had no idea what they were talking about. It made no sense to me. I couldn't even compute what they were saying. And now I know what it means. It means keep to yourself and don't try to socialize with people in public. So in that, but if I were to leave Washington State today and go somewhere else, I would instantly start socializing. Like it hasn't crippled me from being able to do it. I just consciously hold it back while I'm here.
oh, so when in Rome, basically.
Yeah, I've learned to at least do that. Just like I remember growing up Catholic, we'd sometimes go to the Baptist church and they had different rituals of behavior. And so you'd have to learn, okay, we do this at the Catholic church, but they do it differently here. So you have to do it this way when you're at the Baptist church. And then I could go back to the Catholic church next week and resume the Catholic way of doing it. So I guess that was a form of code switching that I was able to pick up.
Hmm.
But it was also more behavior based, not communication based. And
Yeah.
like not talking to people in public is also behavior based. So that's easier to control than how I talk to somebody once I do have to start talking to them.
How much would you say things that you do have a lot more to do with, like, what are like personal habits or lifestyle choices that you have that are more based on your just individual conclusions you reached on what is a good way to live, independent
Probably
of what
all of it.
culture has to say? Okay.
Probably all of it. I learn from my experience and I ground everything in my experience. If I'm doing something, it's because that's what my experience led me to choose as the
Yeah.
best course of action. It's very rare, unless it's something professional. I might do something at a job because a mentor or supervisor taught me that it was a better way of doing it than other ways.
Okay.
But outside of that, everything is inducted from my own experience. I run my groups a certain way because as I gained experience running groups, I learned that that's what worked for those particular people and the way my approach and my combination of me with them. And if I had a group of other people, I might do things slightly differently and adjust it to the new group. But it's all based on what's happening on the ground and learning from that.
Okay. What would you say is like an individual practice of some kind? It could be a big thing or a small thing that is different from what is more common culturally. That might even put you at odds with folks who don't understand, why you would be doing that.
I guess it depends on the culture because
Okay.
the answer in Louisiana would be different than the answer up here. I mean, the rocking is one thing I could think of, but that's not anything I intentionally do.
Right, and that's not. I mean, that's just more of a.
I listen and I ask questions a lot. That seems to really annoy a lot of people. Me just digging for more information as I listen. Or as they're telling the story, I'll ask questions. I'll punctuate the listening with questions as I need to follow the story and get more information and go however many layers deep into the story I need to go. And some people find
Uh,
that weird.
like they want you to let them finish their story at like whatever flow they had.
I, I don't know what.
Hmm. Well, it kind of reminds me of
It
um,
doesn't bother if somebody's listening to my story. It doesn't bother me at all when they do that. So I don't know the psychology of why it would bother someone else because I can only have my own psychology to go off of.
Gotcha. Okay.
I assume they're asking questions to facilitate their understanding. Like I assume that their intent is to listen to understand, And if they're asking questions, it's to facilitate that goal. Like, I don't know any other reason they would be doing it other than that. Because that's the exact reason that I'm doing it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, I think one thing, like, give an example here is I don't do apologies anymore because having looked at the way the culture of apologies works, I have concluded that it doesn't usually make much sense. I find that there's long term rarely any benefit to apologies,
I don't do
and the way
apologies either. They're useless
and
to me. Just don't do the thing. Whatever you apologize for, just how can we make sure it doesn't happen again? That's all I care about. I'm solutions based.
right. And so saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," or like "I feel bad," or just anything to be like.
Yeah, I don't care about any of that.
Usually, apologies have a lot more to do like I'm a bad person, and you should be able to like berate me and pillory me, and put me in the stockade and throw vegetables at me. And I'm not interested in that. That is often what apology culture works out to. And also, the other half of it is that people just use it to placate whoever the victim of their wrongdoing is, and they don't actually learn the lesson. They don't make improvements, and
Yeah.
they don't actually fix. They're like, "I said I was sorry, right?" And you're like, "Well, my arm is still cut off, so apologies um, don't really mean a whole lot." In
Yeah,
my
they
view,
don't mean anything to me either. Without some, all I want to know is that I'm not going to have to experience that again in the future. Just telling me an apology doesn't guarantee that. Now, I will apologize to other people if I feel I've done something that I should not have. I will apologize to them to show that I'm sincerely sorry that it happened and I regret it, etc. But I will also like communicate what action steps I'm going to take to ensure it doesn't happen again too. So I pair the apology with a solution.
uh yeah, I always look for the solution. So, in my view, the solution would be, did I damage something? If so, I will fix it, and then I will. Here's what I've learned so that it doesn't happen again. And none of that requires me to feel particularly bad
Yeah,
about.
I mean, I usually do feel bad if I did hurt someone or wrong someone. I do naturally feel bad. So that's where the apology comes from. It's
Yeah,
more of an expression of my own remorse at the consequences of one of my actions.
yeah. And so like, especially because like I've also noticed there are some people who apologize for everything all the time, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry
God,
for
they do that
texting you.
here. My
Like,
God.
like a friend could be like, "Oh, I'm sorry for texting you so late," and it's like what 8:30. It's just they're always preemptively apologizing. They'll even say, "Oh, I'm sorry the weather's so bad,"
They
right?
apologize for everything here. Like
And
if
I'm
you
like,
ask a salesperson at a store, like, hi, do y'all have this item? Oh, I'm sorry. They'll apologize. I don't. I have no idea. I tell this story. I was at a Starbucks. I was in line behind this lady, and there was this little young barista helping her. This guy, and he forgot her donut or something, and he gave her order and her coffee, and then he said, "Oh, I forgot your donut." So he goes to get the donut, and the lady says, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I'm sitting there like, "Wait a minute. He forgot the donut, and she's the one giving the apology for him forgetting the." And then the guy says, "Oh no, it's okay," absolving her for the mistake he made. That whole reaction was reversed, and I just sat there and I stared at them the whole time, trying to figure out this bizarre interaction. And I was gonna step in and say something, but I knew if I did, they were gonna both turn on me because I could tell it was like some little ritual they had going between the two of them. And if I had
so
intervened in any kind of way to ask a question or make a comment, that I would have been the hostile party at that moment.
I think Bex just raised an interesting point. If you could highlight what she said, I have learned to not apologize to people who can apologize to me, and then her follow up there as well. Those people use my willingness to apologize as a weapon against me. This is indicating what I was basically describing a few minutes earlier. But I will notice like there's an interesting irony that about apologies, which is the people who really want you to apologize the most are often the people who would be the least worthy of it. And then the people who are maybe say the most worthy of an apology tend to be the folks who don't care if you apologize or just brush things off or roll with it or just take things in stride. There's an irony there, which is that it's a, I began to notice this irony.
I
And
don't really hang out with those people. Like the question of apologies rarely comes up in my life with anybody.
yeah, and so when you notice that irony, it kind of shatters the concept of apologies. Moose says again, not true in my experience. Maybe he's talking about what I just said. Um,
I mean, if I bump into someone at a grocery store or run over their foot or something, I'll apologize. I'll be all, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Like, it's not a big deal for me to apologize. And I don't care if somebody does it to me. If they run over my foot, I understand it's an accident. They don't necessarily have to say they're sorry. It's not going to be a big deal to me if they don't apologize. I'll just be thinking in my head, oh, watch where you're going next time. Yeah, Bex, I don't hang around those people. Like they're just I guess maybe I figured out how to filter them out of my life early or something, but it rarely comes up.
mhm. Yeah, and I've noticed that um, like one thing that's particularly weird that I think exposes the weirdness of the culture of apologies is specifically the public apology, right? So a celebrity or high profile person does something controversial or offensive. Like, remember when Tiger Woods got caught cheating on his wife and he did that big public apology thing? And it was just so weird because it's like, one, why is he apologizing to the world? Because it's not like the world was negatively impacted by him cheating on his wife, right? The main people affected would be his wife and his kids. Um, and like, why does the public feel entitled to a public apology? Like, do the Wheaties people
Did
feel
they?
like,
Like if he had not apologized at all, would anybody have said anything?
yeah? Well, here's an interesting thing, right? So that happens, and that's what around, was that like 2008, maybe
I don't know. I don't remember it.
2007,
Oh, the
2000.
advertisers.
Well,
I'm
here's the
sorry that
question.
I cost you advertising dollars was the
Here,
apology.
here's the question, Moose. Were they? Because well, here's somebody who's his tendency not to apologize did not hurt the branding whatsoever. Is Donald Trump, right? So clearly, if you don't apologize, and this was even before he was president, right? When he was like, the branding was The Apprentice, and there's the ads on NBC. He was constantly just saying whatever he felt like and insulting people for publicity. He had a spat with Rosie O'Donnell well before that remark he made in the 2016 Republican debate, right? I remember it in like 2003 or so, and like that was just normal for him. Even in the 90s, he would say controversial things. Um, and that's just the thing, right? It's like, oh, he's a New Yorker. That's how a lot of people looked at it. In fact, a lot of New Yorkers have essentially gotten away with that. Um, Chuck, I agree. Woods was more of a sorry. I'm sorry I got, but that's also the other part of, so why the culture of the apology is bad, right? Because the public had this weird, like, I almost want to call it like this pornographic interest in Tiger Woods making a public apology. Like, there's something, I thought that was gross about it. That's sort of how I felt at the time as a teenager.
I
And
don't
then
even remember it, so it passed me by completely.
and then there's also the Tiger Woods side of it, which is like, clearly he's just sorry that he got caught. And he's not actually sorry that he did anything bad, right? He's more like, oh, I sure hate being embarrassed and held accountable. I'm sorry for that.
But some of it's just a social ritual. It's just the
Yeah,
performative steps you take in that situation, and then
yeah,
everybody agrees to. move on from there after somebody's done the steps.
Like, whereas me, I would not do the ritual if I didn't, I would be like, you know what, I'm not sorry. Here's what I'll do to remedy the situation. But truth be told, I don't feel that bad about it. Like, if I were pressed, that's what I would say.
I almost never say anything that I'm sorry that I said. If I said it,
No.
I probably had a reason for saying it, and I stand by it. Same with my actions. My apologies come when the unintended consequences, not for doing or saying the actual thing, but if it had an effect that I didn't intend, I might
Yeah.
apologize.
That, that's where I tend to feel worse about things is unintended consequences. I still wouldn't apologize, but I would definitely make some sort of course correction, and that's the
I,
actual thing that would actually fix it.
What about you, African?
what I'm perplexed about at the moment is that your President Biden let the green light for Ukraine to bomb into Russia, even though he did not stand for the presidency and he was permitted to be set aside because of his cognitive issues he has, right? They didn't say it, but here we are. He's still playing Mr. Big Shot, right? Before Trump gets in.
Yeah,
Yeah, how do you feel about that, Jeff? Your President Biden is doing all this stuff in Ukraine. What then?
I don't have any feelings about it. I don't know enough about the situation. He's still
What's
president.
Yeah,
We'll
what's
find
what's
out if it was wisdom or bad judgment. Hey,
he's
Mike.
got 2 more months to the day. It's November 20th. Trump will
Yeah,
take over on
he's
January
probably
20th.
trying to get everything done that he would like to see happen before he gets out of there and put his
well,
stamp and influence on the
Yeah,
situation before
okay,
Trump
let me
gets in
say this.
office.
Why wasn't he, as president, allowed to stand governing? And he had to have his vice president. Without your, what would you call them? You have
I,
their
I,
primaries
I could
or
not answer that. I don't know.
so there we
he's
go.
he
That's the problem here. So before Trump gets in, this motherfucker decides to go, yeah, fucking go for it, yeah.
it's
Fuck,
not
dude.
him. It's not him. He's not in charge. He's been in decline for years. He's not in charge. There's
You
people
think it's a
basically
conspiracy and somebody else made the decision?
Jeff, of course, that dude is senile.
Well, who
Like
though?
he
How do you know though? And who? Or is this
if you
just a
watch
assumption?
if you read body language, the way he moves, the way he
I
speaks,
don't.
the way he pauses, and they have him medicated. That's no doubt. They're probably giving him amphetamines. They're probably giving him something to keep him going. But he's literally he's going to go down as the president that had the most vacations of all time. He's on vacation every week. Like he doesn't do anything.
Well, he just okayed some missiles to go into Russia,
But
and now
He
some
didn't.
some
He,
mines.
he signed off on it, but he
yeah,
wasn't the
fucking
one that
fine.
planned
They're
it.
right, yeah,
Right, because
right.
he's the only with the authority to do that. So whoever's agenda it was, they still have to convince, manipulate, whatever him to sign off on it. So ultimately, he agreed to it at some point in the chain, unless they
But
Okay,
just took the pen and faked his
hang on.
signature without his consciousness, which I doubt.
there has never been a president ever that endorsed another president, like on the opposite party. When he put that Trump hat on and smiled, like you knew right away that Trump was going to be president. And what they did to Joe, now Joe Biden, uh, not Joe here, Joe Joe Biden,
Hey, I've been
he
wronged.
was he's in cognitive decline, so he's declining mentally. So he shouldn't run again. But the way they did him dirty, and he knew that. He knew that. The real president is actually his wife Jill. That's the real president.
Okay.
That's the real president. I'm telling you.
Well,
Yeah, that's the president of the United States. Jill Biden is the president of the United States
okay.
because
Well,
she.
that you're welcome to that point of view. It's not testable or falsifiable, so we just have to leave it there as an opinion.
No problem, no problem. But I see that him being a puppet. And the thing with Trump is that why people hate Trump and why people hate me and why people hate you, Jeff, is they can't control us. They want to put us in a cage.
I
You
have
know,
noticed that they do an awful lot of attempted manipulation.
but it doesn't work because we have a
No.
hyperactive mind and we're highly intelligent. And listen, anybody listening doesn't like it, sucker. You know what?
If you
But
want me to do something, you have to explain why I should do that
Well,
thing, and
hang
then
on,
I
hang
will,
on,
on
hang
my
on, hang
own, decide to do it. That's the
on.
best way to manipulate me, is to give me a good reason for doing what it is you want me to do. If
But
you can't
Jeff,
do that and you have to resort to these other tactics, good luck. They're not going to work.
Jeff, you know what someone asked me the other day, and this is a true story. I swear to you. Someone said to me, she goes, "Are you artistic?" She asked me, and I said,
Artistic or autistic,
"Autistic." I sorry,
like on the
my
spectrum.
accent. Yeah,
I mean, you
and
you know me. I think everybody has a little bit of it.
but I said, well, why do you? I said, and I asked her. I said, well, why do you ask that? She goes, you know, you can think on different levels. You can move quickly. You can decipher. You can figure things out. Because she watches me. I observe the room. You know, I'll give you an example. A guy comes in. He opens his wallet, right, and I can see his military ID. I can see his tattoos. I can see that he's in good shape. He has a different haircut. I said, how long have you been in the Navy? He goes, do I know you? Like it's just you
Oh,
just pick
because
up
you
on
are
things.
observant of little details.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
mean
I have,
it could be.
but I can, but I can watch people. I can watch different people at the same time, and it's. I don't think it's autism. I think it's people have a hyperactive mind. It's a sign of
But
genius.
some of that, like the hyperactive mind, is often a form of neurodivergence.
Okay,
So,
okay,
because
But
it's
Jeff,
not a normal, that's not a neurotypical trait.
okay, Jeff. My name is Jeff. There was a study. Remember, I don't know you.
my name is
Jeff.
Jeff.
My name is Jeff. There's a study that was with rats or mice, sorry, where there was a floor that was electrified, right? And so the rats used to get on it and then get electrified. So that trauma was set in motion. And then they added, I believe, a pheromone into it, which was
Mhm.
a rose or something, a, a certain fucking smell. And years later, so over the next fucking generations of these mice, when they put the pheromone into the cage, they also reacted the same way as if there was electricity underneath them, and that
Mhm.
proves that technically that we have genetics that through our trauma, like when the I guess the Dutch starvation that happened after World War II. The
Mm.
mothers that were born with kids and they were starved, so the kids had all these other problems. That is, relative to us. So, go figure.
And, in pheromones, and that's a great African. That's a great point. And Jeff, research pheromones. Pheromones can actually make people. They can alter uh, their feelings on different topics. And remember that thing back in the day. Now, Joe's probably too young for this, but remember Spanish fly? You remember that thing
Yeah,
called
I never. Yeah,
that was that we were supposed to
did
make
that ever
someone
work?
really.
I was always skeptical of that.
But they said if you got they allegedly said if you got the real one, there was a lot of pheromones in it, and it made you excited, as we say. We're going to be very careful what we say. It makes you very excited. And I think if you tap into those pheromones, and then you have, it's just funny
So,
because
why do women get horny when they drink? It's because their bodies take the alcohol and they produce testosterone. It's the
mm,
opposite to the
yeah,
estrogen. That we have the
my
opposite.
girl would come home.
Yeah,
My
that's
girl would
why.
come home from the club hammered and just be like, "Let's go." I'm just like, and
Yeah,
I'm tired. It's like
it's
3 o'clock. It's like
in
three
that
o'clock in the
regard.
morning. I want to
It's
go
It has
after
the
work.
opposite
I wanna
effect
acceptable
on
in
me.
terms of
Yeah,
the nose and into the brain because of the like what was
yeah,
it saying? If you want to fuck a girl, find out what cologne her father wears, and what
yeah.
cigars he smokes or something. One of those things.
Another
There
and another
you have
really
it.
big thing in Africa. Another really big thing is pH balance. Some like there are people that will put cologne on. I'm just giving this is an assumption of pH, you know, all this other stuff. But like people will put cologne on and it smells different than the other person. So people give off these different pH vibes and stuff. And I think people no, I mean I'm not. This is not a conspiracy theory, but I mean cologne will smell different on one person
Just
than the other.
we're back to vibes.
Yeah, and
Chemical vibes now.
it's your pH. It's the way that you sweat. It's the way that you breathe. It's the way that you everything, you know. So we are diverse. What I'm trying to say is that we're very diverse people, you know, and I think it's amazing, you know.
But
And I used to,
in some respect, the same diverse. Okay, is that our genetics kind of gather
yeah.
more to ourselves than you know. So in terms of like
What's
problems that we have in a
you know
global aspect, or in say a little feudal issue, okay, the people that
what's
didn't
what?
know each other would rather save each other because of their genetics. Yeah,
So
understand that
you're a
the
Brit. So
tribes that
African,
they.
you're are you a Brit? Are you British?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I am. Yes,
Okay.
I'm English.
So my favorite. So I'm. If anybody wants to answer, I love cologne. I wear cologne every day. My favorite cologne
Okay.
is no. It's okay. It's Burberry Brit. Burberry Brit is the most amazing cologne ever. So, and the British, you know, the one thing about the British is that, you know, people make fun of the British about having messed up teeth and, you know, and, but they're actually some of the
Let me
most
see.
well dressed, some of the most
What
well
is that?
dressed.
Oh yeah, good. You have good
I love
taste,
that.
dude.
It's
Mike's
British.
getting way better at throwing those low jabs. That was awesome.
Back in the day, like I did drama. I was lesbian.
No, no,
I
no.
understand standing up on stage.
Eh,
I've had to wear
Okay,
many costumes, as people can imagine. You know, when you have to lead that and understand that, like take yourself into what was that
Yeah.
time. Yeah, man.
real
You know,
quick, Joe's about to leave, so you want to promote your stream one more time and remind everybody.
Yeah, so next Tuesday I'll be doing a live stream. I'll be getting back into doing regular streams now that I'm over my cold, and I'll be talking about the Federal Reserve and the U.S. dollar next time, particularly in light of the recent interview Jerome Powell had, where they asked if he would resign if Trump asked him to, and he said no, and what this means about potentially the future of the Federal Reserve as an institution and how that can affect
Mm.
investments.
And that's next Tuesday.
Next
Mhm.
Tuesday, yeah.
Okay. And I dropped Joe's channel link in the chat, so
Yep.
Joe,
check him out. Give him a like, subscribe, and watch his stream next Tuesday on the Fed.
Joe, they're saying that gold might go over 3,000, which will be the highest it's ever been in the history of the
Of
United
gold.
States. So I hope it does,
I was
because then
I was
I make
amazed when it got to where it is
$2,000.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna
We
head
need
out now, so I'll
All
catch
right.
you guys.
Have
later.
fun tonight, and we'll talk to you later.
So African, I didn't realize that you had red hair. That's crazy.
What color hair did you think he had? Just
You
based
sound
on
like
an
red.
avatar and a voice.
African. I thought you like
You didn't sound like you would have red hair.
yeah. African, if you go out in the sun, do you catch fire? Because
bro,
you're
I'm a
such
day
a
walker,
ginger.
bro. I tan, man. I'm okay.
Hey,
Tan,
let's
bro.
get back
My
to
hair
the
is actually
British and their
golden,
teeth.
okay? Under the
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Oh, it's really
question
good,
for
man.
you guys.
As a
Do
kid, it
you
was
think,
white under African skies, yeah?
right? So, do you think that being a dentist would be more profitable in Great Britain than the United States?
Mm.
Well, it depends on the doctors and the, you know, there's a lot going there because there's
Maybe
surgery.
not.
It's
It
a,
doesn't look
it's a
like there's
trick
much they
question
can do
because the
for him.
dollar's always going to be more valuable.
What is the
So,
British
I
in
would
their
say
teeth? Oh, is that what you're saying? The British in their teeth? My
Yeah.
teeth ain't that bad, man.
Do y'all
Easy.
need more dentists? Should we send some over?
I think you should, man. I hope like America really does like invade Britain to save Britain.
are your women all busted up over there?
No, that'd be silly.
But so a British doctor makes a lot less than an American doctor, because they have what, you pay more taxes in Britain, but then Medicare is like, the medication is free. Like, you go to the hospital, it's no charge, but you pay more taxes. Isn't it free healthcare in Britain, bro?
Does that
It's
include
complete.
dentistry? Apparently
Yeah,
not. Oh.
healthcare is completely free. No, it's free, but they pay like way higher taxes. But if you go to the doctor, what I was told is that there's no charge.
Because it's socialized medicine, like in
Yeah, and
Canada.
that's how Canada is. Canada is the same
But my
way.
friends in Canada say that the wait times are really long.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's free, Jeff. If you got to sit there for 3 hours, fuck it, it's free.
Not
Yeah,
3
but
hours, like 3
it's not
years
just
to see a
that.
doctor, depending on the procedure. Some of them have to wait years to get a certain procedure done.
Yeah,
Not
so I
the
just had a
wait
friend who
times in the
died.
lobby, but the
Jeff,
wait times.
Yeah,
Go
Jeff,
ahead.
okay, so
I had a friend who died like last
okay?
week because he
Hang
was
on,
waiting in
Hang
Canada
on.
for
Let
a
Moose.
liver transplant. My friend was waiting for a liver transplant, and he was put on the list, and he ended up passing away like last week.
Hmm.
So
This
like
was in
that's
Canada.
yeah, it's an example of like a Canadian who was waiting for a liver, who's on the list, but like just didn't make it. So there's that. Like once you get older, Mike, the older you get, you
Yeah.
know, you
That's
got
why
to
they got
think.
the maid.
You get
Well,
put
that's
down
People
on the
that
list,
don't want to
lower and
wait.
lower.
Maybe you have to wait
that's
for
why
that.
that's why in America it's more prevalent to get fixed up because they're making money. When I had my knee surgeries, bro, were like 30 grand, and it was covered by my insurance. I didn't have to pay a dime. But it's just like, but they were, I mean, I was in surgery within 2 weeks. Like I blew my knee out and I was in surgery in 2 weeks, and they're putting me under and fixing my knee. But you're right. If it's Medicaid or Medicare or socialized medicine, you could be sitting there limping around for a year. You're right. I mean, totally right on that. They want the money. They want that money
Well, I mean,
quick.
they don't work for free. Somebody's got to pay them. They expect a salary just like everybody else. It's a
Amen.
job.
That's the problem with what's happening with our country here and yours, in terms of the way that the establishment, our way of life, is being fucked over. So, what I'm saying here is that our government is trying to sell everything, make
Did
everything
you ever
profitable, right? And
did you ever go? Oops,
Like privatize.
well, no, private. It's always happened. But the way they doing it is they selling it to their cronies. Hence, even Ukraine. Again, Ukraine goes back to
They should
why it
call it
happened.
Ukraine.
Well, yeah, but it's
Yeah,
about
well,
money. It's about like, yeah, go, 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 burn it off. What happened with the Arab Spring? People forget. ISIS, or 9/11 started fucking Afghanistan. That was Al Qaeda. Then it was fucking ISIS. Then it went on to the other serpent head. Everything goes fucking
Serpent head.
yeah, but that's what it's about.
yeah,
The
the
serpent
serpent head.
head is like you can't kill one or the other. They always want your
Oh, I thought
head.
you meant like the Pope's audience hall or something.
I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
amazing how all these people that never leave their computers know everything that's going on behind the scenes in the world from all these different people and politicians.
Well,
Because they have all the time in the world
Well,
to dive deep.
it depends on what you
To
understand.
dive deep into very limited data,
Into
remote
well,
insanity.
data.
but the thing is that me being a
Fair enough.
contractor, me
You're
being a
right.
contractor,
Hey,
working for
Kane.
the me being a contractor, working for the military, I talked to so many service members, and I was never in the military. I was law enforcement. I was never military, but I talk to them all the time. They just talk to me. People just come up and start talking to me, and they tell me all kinds of crazy shit. I'm like, whoa, But yeah, no, this the term serpent head is very pinnacle in the military. In other words, you cut the, the snake's head off, but it still keeps going.
Yeah,
In other words,
That's the Hydra.
it grows another one.
That's
The
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 Hydra.
thing with serpent's head is that it grows another one. You got to be careful. Even if you cut the head off, it will still bite you. Right?
it's an analogy. It's an
Yeah.
analogy, and
It'll
it's
still
basically
bite
giving you the focus of you can try to stop the progression of the machine that is the military complex, but you can never stop it because that's what funds all of everything.
I'm glad we have a military.
No. The military complex where the contracts and stuff like that
Yeah,
is
it's the
from.
ecosystem that sustains the military. I'm glad we have all of that.
I'm pro-military like a motherfucker. Like I'm so pro-military, it's
In
ridiculous.
fact, I looked at the poll the other day. Most Americans are happy. That was the number one most trusted institution in the U.S. currently, was the military.
the military.
So
Yeah.
we're all glad we have the military.
Yeah,
I'm the
absolutely.
I'm the black sheep in the family. I didn't serve. I went into law enforcement, but I didn't serve in the military. But my father, my uncle, my grandfather, my sister, my brother, my son, I mean, all military, but I just went a different route. I still served, but I served the city. I didn't serve the country. That makes sense. But it's just, we all served. But anybody who served 2 to 4 to 8, 10, 20 years, they get my respect because you're giving your
They all
life.
have my respect.
They're giving their life.
I would say, as the good Lord says, if you
Yeah.
serve one another, you serve God.
That's it. But
You know,
they would give their life for
you're
us,
greedy.
for our family, and that's a hero. Hero
Oh
would
my
give
God!
their life.
I mean, the
Yeah.
original trackers of America, okay, those guys that went to fucking islands, you know, from mainly Europe over the fucking waves, landing in fucking America, and then going inwards in trails. Dude, that land was hardcore. Those
Yeah.
motherfuckers, the first ones that got there, they didn't live. If you didn't set yourself up within a cycle, you were dead, man. You know,
Yeah.
that was hardcore shit. And that's where,
The
you know,
first British settlers were in Jamestown. You know, where I'm in
I don't
Virginia.
know about Jamestown. Yeah, no, but
Yes.
well, it depends. It's East India or the Hudson Bay Company, right? So it goes
Yeah.
up this way, further than where America is. And the first ones were what the Spanish conquistadors that came south upwards, you know? So give or take.
So, Mr. B, to answer his question, I'm not on Medicare. I didn't know exactly how it works. So, you know, if you want to come up and talk about it, come up on the panel and talk about it. But I know that, you know,
Yeah,
it
I don't know
will
how
take.
Medicare works either, really. But we have Medicaid. We have expanded Medicaid here, and it works
Yeah.
pretty much the same as any other insurance.
I have
It's not
Anthem.
socialized like in Canada. You may be more limited as to what doctors you can go to because they have to take particular plans. But
Well,
outside of that, it's pretty much like any other insurance.
remember, Canada is on a charter. America's on a constitution. So everything works differently in our two countries. Even though we're allies, it works differently.
Yeah, that's any country. That's every
Yeah.
country.
I think. I think.
Worse in what way, Philip?
Oh, hang on. Haven't you guys had that issue with you know, people rocking up in your country from outside, just going
People
nuts?
doing what in our country?
Well, from Canada to America, there's been an influx, as well as Europe, of
Can you blame them?
you expect. Well,
If I live in Canada, I'd be inflowing too.
yeah, Jesus, but most of them aren't rocking up via the ships, are they? They're
What
rocking
is
up
it?
via fucking, you know, aircraft.
Is it me? But doesn't it seem like Canadians are starting to go crazy? Like there's like I remember Canada being the most friendly place, the most friendly people. Then no, I'm just hear me out. Hear me out. The nicest people, the calmest people. And now, for what I seen on
That's a
online,
facade.
Canadians are fucking psychopaths. They're nuts. They're just crazy. I mean, there are still some great ones, but I mean, they just seem like they're being unhinged.
Speaking of stereotypes, although our own resident Canadians, I don't know that they do much to dispel that.
Yeah. But I mean, they're still really good, cool Canadian people, but like it just seems like it's getting more and more unhinged in their country, you know, and they're fighting
So
against their prime
I
minister.
did some training in Canada, you know, back in the day, and I learned that the Canadians had the first battalion that was solely about NBC, nuclear,
Mm.
biological, and
I
chemical
know they
warfare.
burn our White House.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That did happen, didn't it? Yeah, the rebellion. I
Mhm.
Some
mean, the
allies.
Midlands too.
Well, see, that was way back in the day, but yeah, they did burn the White House, and that's when we were a futile nation. We didn't have the skills to basically repel a large attack, and they did because they were British backed. So the United Kingdom had the best navy way back in the day. They had the best tactics way back in the day, and
Yeah, you know
Canada was
why?
a sovereign.
Do you know why?
Canada was a sovereign
No, do you know why?
Because they were all
Germany.
drunk.
No, you
No,
heard of
no.
you must have heard of like Sir Francis Drake, right? John D.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
these are
explorer.
the yeah. That's why under
Mm.
those things where the expansion came again. I say the East India and the Hudson Bay. Those collaborations were the first, you know, corporations of this earth, and
There's
it
a
wasn't.
reason why. There's a reason why in America we speak English. That we say English, right?
Yeah,
But
it's
we're American.
superior.
But we say English. So if you think about it, if you break it down, we're basically run by United Kingdom because we speak their language.
Because we speak English, that means we're run by the United Kingdom.
They basically made us speak their verbiage. Why don't we speak Native
They
American?
made
Why
us
don't we
speak it. We came from there. We brought the language with us. Nobody came and made
Not
us speak it.
necessarily.
And there's no
Oh,
official language in the United States.
there was
oh,
Native Americans. There was Native Americans here that have their language, and then Italians, Irish,
My
uh,
grandfather's native language is French.
Africans.
Like English was a second language for
French.
him. I grew up
But
speaking
why do
Cajun English. It's not even
but
American
why
English.
but why do we speak English? Why?
Because we're mostly Brit. We were mostly settled by English speakers. If we were settled by Hispanic people, we'd be speaking that. It's
But
not
I have
because
zero.
people put a gun to our head and say you must speak English in America. We're making you speak English. That was already their native language.
Right.
Just
But
like if
Jeff,
people from Portugal settle a country, that country's probably going to mostly speak Portuguese.
I would
No,
dispute that because the
but
English
Jeff,
language
yeah,
was spread, okay, about simplicity. It was an easy way of talking, you know, give or take, rather than the travels, because we were
Yeah,
all over
they
the
should
all
call it the
over the
lingua
globe.
anglo, not the
The
lingua franca.
trade, especially the way we write, would be set in English, and so
in
English
high school,
prevailed.
in
I
high
mean,
school, I could.
you think people forced the founding fathers to write the documents in English, or was that the language they
No, no, no,
naturally spoke?
no, no.
That's why it's all written in
That's because
English.
they wanted to.
I think what he's trying to say. It's the easiest to learn, but I think a lot of the
Yeah,
founding fathers
It
sure.
were from England.
it's
They
really
were.
not for
Yeah, it
non-native
is.
speakers.
It is. It's
Yeah.
very easy, unlike other languages. It's the way
Yeah.
we speak. Maybe we can give or take that, but generally from outside of like Germanic or Latin speaking languages we all share, French or Portuguese, it's still European. English is easy for the rest of the world to come in with.
Not
It's
really.
just
Have you talked
we
to
can do this. Can I help you?
ESL people trying to learn it? It's a very
It's,
irregular language.
it,
Even Americans
It's
struggle to
talking
learn
about
it.
computers.
yeah. It's funny because my grandparents spoke fluid Italian. They would just always talk in Italian to each other. Then they would flip to English. They would, they're talking together, so I don't understand what they're saying. They flip to English, but then I started picking up on what they were saying. And then when I was in high school, I took an elective in Spanish. Spanish and Italian language is very similar.
They're
It's very,
Romance languages. So is
yeah.
French. Do you speak
And then
Italian?
I can't anymore, not for many, many, many years. But I can understand it. If I hear it, I can understand it. But I can't speak it anymore because I've been talking English for 40 years,
Hmm.
you know. But that's a long time. But my girlfriend in high school, right out of college, she spoke French. I love the French language. Love it. It's beautiful. The French language and she spoke fluent French. And it's amazing. It's amazing how people can retain that. But if you don't speak it for a very long time, we're talking about 40 years ago. I could speak a little bit of Italian, but
You're
when
not
you
that
don't,
old, are you? Come on.
I'm,
How
I'm,
old are
I'm
you?
50.
Like 50?
I'm
Yeah,
50.
I guess you were 10 years old.
Yeah, I'm 50 years
When
old.
he was a wee
Yeah,
Imagine you
lad.
were 10 years old when
a
that
wee
happened.
lad. But
He was
my
ordering off the
grandparents,
menu in Italian.
Yeah, man.
they'd be
Hey,
they'd be at
my
the
bro.
coffee table. They'd be at the coffee table with remember the plastic thing they put over the tables? Can't remember what it's called.
Tablecloths?
Yeah, but it was plastic though, so they could wipe it off easy. Um, but yeah,
The
they'd be
red and
talking.
white checkered things?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I just call
yes,
that tablecloth. But
yeah.
yeah,
But it
Pizza
was
Hut had those. They were,
plastic though. But they would
yeah.
be talking in Italian, and I could understand what they were. I could understand what they were saying. But I said, on, like if and Sicilians have a different diction than Northern Italians. We have a different diction, so it's more guttural. It's kind of like when you're in, like a South African or something like that. You have a guttural accent. Um, it's funny when accents come in and different languages come in. So people can be from the same country, but they sound differently and they have different dialects, dialects and stuff like that.
Mm.
The Spanish have that a lot. There's
Yeah,
people that
everybody
speak
has that.
Yeah,
We've
but
known that for a
that's
while.
language producing, isn't it? As
Yeah.
we
It's like
evolution of the language, right?
yeah. It's
So,
like with me.
so
It's like with me, I have two accents. I have one accent that's American. I have one accent that's like more like this. You know, like I talk like this. This is actually my normal voice. I talk like
Like
this all the time.
Vinny Pots and
Yeah,
Pans
yeah.
accent.
This is actually how this is this. So I'll flip it. This is actually how I normally talk. So if I talk to somebody like round out and about, I'm like, "Hey Jeff, how you doing, man? How's it going? What's going on? How's it hanging, brother? How's it hanging?" And that's
So
how
is that Jersey? Are you from Jersey?
I'm from New
You
York City.
New York?
Yeah,
Oh, New York. Ah,
yeah.
dude, my
So,
wife back in the day. You love this. My wife back in the day was
mhm.
concorded from London to New York on Concorde.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, the
well,
Concord.
but yeah, Concorde. But it was for
I had
business.
a
Right? It was Slaughter and May. You know the company, the law firm Slaughter and May. Yeah,
yeah.
but
I,
nevertheless, yeah,
I lived
you
in
know,
Far Rockaway. I lived in Far Rockaway, Queens. I lived right around the way from JFK Airport, and the Concorde flew out of JFK. And then when it would fly over your house, we had those thin glass windows, and when the Concorde would fly over, your windows would shake, and that was basically a hypersonic. But then when I moved to Virginia, because I'm right by Oceana Military Base, F-18s fly over my house all the time. I've seen B-52s, I've seen A-6 intruders. I mean, everything you could think
shit,
of.
man.
But like,
I mean, don't
but
get me
growing
wrong.
up,
Yeah, I
growing,
bet you with aircrafts, like you Americans clearly
yeah,
have, you're mainly on the waters. You was talking about that earlier on. Eh? The
yeah,
you Americans can put 12 million people, 12 million on the ocean. Did you know that? A
hmm
number, 12 million people on the ocean. You guys
Wait,
have a
what?
freaking boat to do that. Yeah.
Let's say that again. I missed something. 12 million people on the ocean. What happened?
Yeah. I reckon it's about that. Yeah. Like America can host that amount of people, like with its armada.
Oh, because we have all this space, empty space.
with the
Uh,
ships and everything, with the
all the
ships
ships
and
and
Oh,
shit.
our ships
Yeah,
can hold 12 million people.
yeah. Well, give it. You can't. Well, technically, you can't because you have rotation. Again, you can't do it because of the
But
rotation
we
of.
have a total capacity of 12 million.
I believe. Yeah, I believe.
That
Yeah.
sounds that sounds more than the British Navy.
What, dude? That sounds more than the world. The
Yeah, I
world
thought the
can't do
British were
that.
the
You,
the
you,
top navy.
China can't do
there's
that, bro.
there's
You guys can.
Well,
yeah,
good.
there's a
That'll make the
report,
deportations a lot easier then.
right? Put them on a ship. There was a report that came out that said China has surpassed us in
I believe
Navy
it could.
ships now, but the problem is that their Navy ships are garbage. You see the one that sunk in port?
I
Yeah,
love what he
so
said. They're garbage, sir. They're fucking diesel. You guys,
they're garbage. They're
yeah.
garbage. They're garbage ships. Yeah.
China.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. You go up against the U.S. Navy or the British Navy or the Australian Navy, you're done. These ships are so high tech.
Not the
Yeah,
Canadian Navy.
yeah.
Well, Canada has an amazing army. Canadian troops are amazing. If you talk to anybody who served with Canadian troops, they're diehard. But the problem is they have a very, very small military. It's small, totally small. So if God forbid war was to break out, Canada can fight for themselves, but they're very small. Like their troops and the amount of ships they have, and
Nobody wants Canada. I think
yeah,
Guys,
they're
war's not
they're
gonna. I
safe.
think you guys have seen what's happened during the Ukraine war and that, the way that our proxy has made, Iran, South Korea, China,
mhm.
even India, fulfill Russia's need. BRICS is there.
BRICS. Is
Yeah,
India part of that? I thought.
yeah, of course it
Oh,
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they need to put it in the eye. I call it
yeah,
BRICSy.
it's totally. Look. While this was going on, okay, countries in Africa has kicked out the French completely. Like they've told them get the fuck out. Because now we have China and Russia backing us up. We don't need you. And they've been like the French have been like printing currencies, 7, 9 currencies in Africa for the last 70 years, bro.
Yeah.
Printing their currencies, taking their
And
gold.
Well,
India
what
is a
else are they
great
gonna do with it? They're not using it.
Well, no,
They don't seem to need it.
I totally understand where you're from because it's a perpetual wealth of violence and war. You know, do this, do that, do this, play the game. The game is coming to haunt them. Again, the Western, you know, where it becomes what we were sold to Africa, what Africa was sold to us after the Arab fall. Is that how we see
You're
it?
talking about the Brits?
Well, come on. They say it's the Brits that started it because of the expansion of the empire and the trade. You know, but when it was carved out, Africa, it was what the Belgians, the
Because
French, the
that's a
Germans, the
continent.
Italians.
Are there different countries
Yeah, but
within
we
Africa?
carved those fucking countries out. Like most of it went to again, like the northwest. Yeah, went to like the French and the Portuguese. Some of it went to the Italians to the east. You know, some went into the mid ground, some went to the south, and that we carved that shit out. And you know,
The
that was
Europeans did when they colonized it.
Well,
well, yeah,
But aren't they their own countries now? Or are they still
instead of
under
killing each other,
European rule?
these guys, we could go roll over them. You know, yeah, let's roll over them.
you,
And
you,
that's the same thing, wasn't it?
you have
America was still like bang, 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 almost like only just getting to the point of that.
yeah.
You know,
Like, you have these different countries that colonized like back in the day, and France has a couple, French Polynesia, and they have like, a
Yeah,
couple different.
Europe was colonizing all over.
Vietnam, Malaysia. Come on,
The Dutch
there's
did a few
loads.
islands, but the largest colonizers were the British. They colonized entire countries, not just islands.
That's what
Like,
colonization
Hang
is.
on. The reason the Brits did better over the rest was the Brits used that sort of Roman. This is what we have. Do you want to join us or not? So same as while we owned or ruled over imperial
They
India.
offered them a better deal.
Yeah,
do you
that's right.
know? Do you know who
That's
the
why they had the
largest?
Commonwealth, and that's
Diplomacy.
what
Yeah.
came like
Yeah.
Portugal. Portugal had loads of land, and Portugal went all of a sudden, no, we will give it up. But Portugal also, their hierarchy slept with them, with the French, the British,
Yeah.
the Germans, not the Italians in some ways, but where it was didn't, and that's what the
Yeah.
definitive thing was. And we are not part of you. We overrule you. We didn't have that. Yeah, do you understand?
Yeah. Yeah, and I live in a Commonwealth. I live in Virginia, and it's a Commonwealth. I think there's only 3 Commonwealths in the United States. 3, I think 3 or 4 Commonwealths. Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. Is it a Commonwealth? Virginia's a Commonwealth, and the laws are different. They're different laws. They're like old English laws. The Commonwealth is completely different from state. It's totally different. And
I mean, it's still a state.
it is,
All the
but
states are
Hey, bro.
states.
So the guy M's from Virginia, right? M.
yeah.
You're from, yeah. Okay.
Mike
I live in Virginia. I'm from New York, but I live in Virginia.
Yeah. Do you know Sleazy P Martini?
Who?
Sleazy P Martini.
No.
You know, the guy from
Man,
Virginia.
you don't live in Virginia, then I don't believe
I
it.
have no
He's
idea.
in a place called, where is it? Where's it? Jesus, I'm even forgetting. I'll figure it out soon.
Let me guess,
Yeah.
he's a YouTuber?
Yeah. No, he's actually Guar. You know the band Guar?
Guar, yeah, I love Guar.
Yeah, Guar, Virginia. It's Sleazy P Martini is their their manager.
Oh, because
Mhm.
Odorous died. He left us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Virginia
But
is
Guar's
awesome.
still going?
This place is awesome.
I guess so.
Yeah. But it's weird because when it's like so in other words, if you are like if you work in law enforcement in Virginia and you're working a Commonwealth, it's weird because there's different
Is that
kinds
cologne or is that what you're working on tonight?
To be honest with you, this is from Egypt. It's called Tut Kam. Is it a Tut? It's one of the Tut ones.
Tutti Frutti?
Yeah, it's really good. It's not.
Oh,
it's,
Rudy.
it's a smell.
Shut
It's
up.
lovely, bro. I swear to God, I can't buy this again, man.
Tutti Frutti.
That's a cologne or are you drinking it?
No, it's a cologne, totally.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Or both.
Yeah, I bought it like almost 20 years ago, man.
So do you put cologne in your beard? Is that what you
Yeah,
just did?
man.
Joe and I were having this really deep conversation about personality and communication, and we had 10 people watching. We're talking about absolutely nothing the last hour, and our numbers have over doubled. This is what you want, YouTube. This is the content you come for.
So African, so like, do you get more ladies when you cologne your beard? Because it's a sweet beard. I mean, that's a pretty sweet
Yeah,
beard.
no, it
I'm,
depends.
I'm,
It depends. 'Cause
Mr.
remember,
B, I had a friend that
yeah,
was looking to move to Virginia, and he was looking at homes and to start a business. And he said every single little area in Virginia had different sets of laws because it was a commonwealth. He said he got so frustrated. The laws were, if you wanted to start a business in this county, you had this set of rules. If you went like one county over, it was a completely different set of, like every little part of Virginia did it differently. There was
yeah,
no
it's
unity to it.
Virginia. Yeah. No, I mean,
unity. It's aggravating. It's
But you
aggravating.
know what? We can look it up.
I can imagine. I can imagine there's still so many ways of challenging, state law to
Yeah.
federal law.
It's four states: Kentucky, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Virginia.
Yeah,
Well,
America is.
plastic. Will you admit to everyone on panel that your beard is actually fake? You just glue it on. Would you just admit
Yeah,
that real
yeah, I
quick?
do. I do glue it on. That's right. Yeah, sorry guys. I'll try to take it off here.
That that's the ladies. The ladies pull on it.
No, I don't know. Don't touch me here. You know
You
what I
ever
mean?
have someone? This is totally off topic. You ever have someone scratch your back when you're intimate with somebody?
It says it's used symbolically to
What?
emphasize that these
What?
states have a
Scary.
government based on the common consent of the people.
It's
Yeah,
weird,
But all
man.
states do.
it's terrible.
Yeah,
And
man.
so I've been in court. I've been in court before where like
Hold up.
somebody gets arrested, right? And the person doesn't want to press charges against the other person. Let's say two people had a fist fight, right? They have a fist fight, whatever. They have to go to court. The person says, "I don't want to press charges. I don't. I just want to drop it and walk away." The Commonwealth can pursue charges against the person without a victim. Shit is crazy. It's crazy, man. I'm like, what the fuck? This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So someone can get locked up for no victim. Dude, a
Wait, say
Commonwealth.
that again?
So if the Commonwealth can press charges on somebody without a victim,
Like
I
in
don't
what
think they
way?
changed it. They can charge you with a crime without a victim. Like the person saying, I don't want to. In other words, okay, so if you go to someone's house, two people got into a fight, and you
Oh,
say,
like
okay,
normally, like I would have to
yeah,
press charges, but if I decline to press
exactly.
charges, the state can still say we're pressing them anyway.
We're pressing charges anyway, but there's no victim. So like it's the weirdest thing. They're taking it upon themselves to be their own sovereign. They're basically saying that no, we're going to go forward. But people get into a scrap. People can scrap and fight or whatever happens, and police show up, and then people get arrested, and then the person that's not the perpetrator gets released. The victim gets released, and they ask the victim, would you like to press charges? He goes, no, I don't want to press charges. And then the DA can say, no, we're going to go forward with charges. In a Commonwealth, any other
Well, I
state,
think they can do that in other states too. According to this article, there's no difference. It's just a
yeah,
difference in title. There's no
I
actual
couldn't do it.
functional difference between a commonwealth and a state.
Complete waste of the court's time. Like there's no victim. They got into a scrap, or they got into a fight, or maybe someone started something, maybe someone said something, and they're like, look, let's just walk away from it. But they still go after them. But I think the biggest thing is because of domestic violence. I think a lot of times domestic violence happens, and then the woman, or sometimes the man, because the men get abused too, don't want to press charges to can't kind of keep the home together. And
Yeah,
then
some states have that where
yeah,
they have to. It's a mandatory. They have to take somebody in for
Florida. I
DV.
think Florida. I want to say Florida's the
But I think
biggest
it
one.
varies by state. It's not necessarily because it's a commonwealth. Each state does
I,
it differently.
I think Florida has a statute to where someone has to go. Like one of the parties has to go. I think it's Florida. I could
Yeah,
be
some
wrong.
states do have that.
Yeah, but I know they have the strictest one. Florida has the strictest one. Yep. But anyway, sorry to cut you off. Sorry to derail. But hey, listen, our rambling helps the numbers, right?
It's numbers don't lie.
Yeah. So, Moose? What say you with your sweet hat and your antlers?
If he's even still there.
Mhm. But yeah, it's interesting, you know. I mean, if he pops in, he pops in. But it's interesting, you know, to kind of move topics. You know, the thing is that a lot of people.
There are
I was on.
16 states and D.C. that have mandatory arrest laws for
Yeah,
domestic
yeah.
violence.
Well, DC's
What,
not a state; it's a
what's a
district.
mandatory arrest law?
That if it's a domestic violence call, they have to make an arrest. They have to arrest one of the at least one of the
They have
parties.
to.
Yes,
They
they're
have
required
to.
Really?
to.
And what distinguishes a domestic? Wow, how do they do that?
Oh,
How
let
do
me
they
answer
say
this.
that they're domestic?
Let me answer this. No, no problem. I worked in law enforcement. Let me answer this. So,
Wow,
when a
that's
domestic
crazy.
call, that's cool. A domestic call is the most dangerous call you ever go on. So, domestics, when you would go through training, they would show you videos
Okay,
of.
no. I don't care about the videos and how they're trained. I want to
Well,
know
let me
about
explain to
the
you.
legality of
Yeah, well, let me explain
Well,
to
it's
you.
how
legal
they
because it was
distinguish the
passed. The
domestic
states
Well, let
call.
me
passed it legally through
So, oh my
legislation.
God, somebody
let me
hurt me.
explain to you why. Let
Well,
me
these
explain to you
days
why.
you have
Because
transgender shit, don't you? You know?
so when it comes to domestics, it's very, very important to separate the two. You have to separate them because they will refight again. That you know they can K-word each other. So that's why it's mandatory to have one person either. Now it's up to the officer's discretion. He can say, "Listen, you have somewhere to stay for the night. Just leave. Just leave. Don't come back." But if the person is injured, they have to take the most injured party away from the person that injured them. But there are a lot of officers that will come on scene and say, listen, man, you know, just leave, get out of here. You have a friend's house to go to. But if someone is beat up and battered,
Yeah.
that other person is going to jail. They're
I mean,
going to
I
jail.
remember watching like Cops, back
Yeah.
in the day, and those other programs where they did the like bait cars and shit,
Hmm.
back in the Bronx and wherever it was. It's like it makes Africa look like fun.
There's
Yeah.
there's two types of mandatory arrest. The first type requires them to arrest the primary aggressor. So whoever they determine is responsible for the violence, they have to arrest them. But in another case, they have the option to arrest both people and let the judge sort it out. The cops themselves
Hmm.
don't have to decide in the moment.
So once you come on scene,
It's called dual arrest.
once you come on scene, you start asking leading questions. You lead questions. That's how I troll. I lead people into, I troll them by leading questions. But let me ask you this. Let
I
me
don't even
ask
think
you
you have to do
this.
that.
But when you come in, you ask leading questions, and you can find out who was in the right and who was in the wrong, and it's up to the officer's discretion to arrest
Right.
who. But
It's
you're
whoever
right.
the officer thinks in that moment. The person could lie or
Yeah.
the officer could believe somebody over the actual perpetrator,
Well,
but they're making a determination in the moment.
That's it, dude.
yeah,
We had like ESP. Dude, we had ESP. We can come up and figure out exactly what's going on. And people will lie, cheat, and steal. What I was trying to tell you about African is the whole thing with the videos is that there have been instances where
you can love this. You can love this. I wish I recorded it, right? So I
mm,
heard a helicopter come over here, okay? And I was like, holy shit. So I went downstairs and I go out and I look and I see this helicopter coming in over the trees over here, down into the field. And behind me, and all of a sudden, I see these massive coppers, not play around coppers, coppers.
The
And they were like,
Bobbies.
oh shit, they were big guys. And he was
Okay.
like, oh yeah, is there a way in there? I said, yes, sir. You're going to go over the road or you can get this way down. I gave him a good explanation. And he went, oh, I've got to like tell them that, they're not needed. And
yeah.
instantly I thought like the guy's dead. There was, the cops everywhere, like fucking cops everywhere all of a sudden. I was like, oh shit. And guess what happened? It was a football match, and the motherfucker stabbed his friend in the arm, and the guy phoned the cops and went, he's killing me. And the cops and helicopter came all over the place for that shit.
Mm.
This is in the UK?
Yeah. I mean,
Damn.
it
Well,
also made,
they go to your house for a mean tweet. If you tweet the wrong thing, the cops can show up.
I mean, no, I don't agree with that. I mean, they
I
got
don't
to take
either.
you to court. So the other thing that comes to it is how they try to project you. So we're all subject to our, again, the law of the land. Is that not correct?
It's
I
the
don't
thing
know. I don't.
is,
I
yeah.
have to
I
take your word
mean,
for it.
Not? Are you not,
You talking about
respecting
it in the UK?
well, no, your land as well, where you are,
I
right?
tell you this:
You're subject to the law of the land where you are, right?
policing was
Yeah,
so
more
much
or
easier,
less. I believe so.
but
We're
policing was
expected
so
to
much.
follow the laws of wherever we live, whatever state, county, city.
You have to
Technically, yeah,
police.
yes, absolutely, yeah, in an absolute term, of course. And again, one should know, and that's the horrible thing that ignorance isn't an excuse in the law. So the severity of crime and why crime exists, and how the lawyer thing in your country is just ridiculous because of the fucking precision of the way that people are like, well, you can't do that and you can't do that, and that's the insurance fucking problem, isn't it? When people like slip over, oh, I broke my leg, yeah, I'm suing you. Now it's
Yeah,
like, oh,
because there's criminal law and there's civil law. So some
yeah,
things are you pursue civilly through the courts and lawyers. That not the cops don't always get involved.
Hmm.
It just depends on what type of law it is.
Oh boy.
Leggy, what you been up to?
Oh, I've been in hiding.
I see that. We had our thing scheduled for today. I don't know if we're still doing it or not.
Oh, we do, don't we? Shit.
Yeah. I mean, we
Today's
can
Wednesday.
always postpone it. It's pretty much been weeks now.
Well, I
What's
know,
another
but
week?
fuck it. The longer, maybe it'll draw more appeal to people. You never know. No, just busy. It's that time of year, basketball season with the kids. So
Oh,
I
like
forgot
they're
about that coming up. So
oh,
we've been running
okay.
around with
They play
practices.
basketball?
Yeah, well, practices and
Yeah.
shit. They've been doing scrimmages and exhibition games and
Was that a cow on a string? You have the coolest stuff. Well, how have you been? What have you been up to?
nothing. Just work.
Ah,
Just work. You know how that is. But no, I
no,
like
I
the
don't.
conversation. Good. Yeah, it was a good
Trying to
conversation.
find out. Well, good. It, everything's okay then.
Yeah, oh yeah, everything's fine.
Cool.
Everything's dandy.
Yeah, I was thinking about
oh,
you the other
man,
day. I said we don't see Leggy anymore.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's
We,
just I've
we
just been
need to have
busy.
we
As I
need to
said.
have problems here. Be solution makers. What are you
Do what?
saying that they're fine? Come on, there's got to be a problem.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying we're solution finders, aren't we? So there has to
Oh
be.
yeah, you have a problem? Yeah, we
Yeah,
love to solve
yeah.
problems. What's your problem?
Yeah, what's your problem? Come on.
Just I don't like having to adult. Adulting sucks.
Yeah, but if you don't do it, who's going to? You have two
That is very
kids.
true. That's true. No, I have 3 kids.
Oh, three. Oh, I thought you
I
had.
have
Oh,
3.
okay.
No, I got 3. I got 3.
Especially with kids, it's important to adults. Sometimes you can get away with it when you're single. But I think, Leggy, you adult pretty well. You adult better than a lot of us. You have a stable job. You're able to keep a home, raise a family.
I try. I try to do
Those
my
are all
own.
markers of adulting to me.
I'm not a perfect person by no means.
No, but I mean, I think you do. You could put it this way: there are many other people I think you could find that are adulting less well.
Very true. Very,
Plus, we're Gen
very true.
X. Like our adulting, we
Where,
do the Gen X version of it. It looks different to us. We were all slackers and DIY punks.
were you? Were you a slacker? I wasn't a slacker.
Yeah,
Man,
but
what are
you
you
are you
talking
Gen
about?
X? I'm
Yeah,
I can't speak for the UK. I can only speak for American Gen
oh,
X culture.
Africa, not for the UK. For I
But
grew
y'all
up
had
in.
punk. Y'all had the punk scene.
Ah, man, that's not my scene, man. I had more the goth and the rave scene back in my day,
Oh,
and I
you were
was.
more rave.
Oh no, I was more like grunge, bro. Like, come on,
Oh yeah,
I'm
that
one of
was us
those.
too. That was
Yeah,
like
it was one of those like Iron
like
Maiden,
the last
War.
gasp of Gen X.
Fuck off. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. The last jet. I was like,
Hmm.
Yeah.
What is this channel all about? It's kind of a hodgepodge of many different things.
It's whatever
Uh,
you want it to be.
men's issues, mental health, politics. Sometimes we just randomly shoot the shit. It's more of a community than specific content. So welcome.
Wait, what? What? Wait, this next comment up here. Is this true? Did that really happen?
Who's Kiwi? Is that a YouTuber?
Yeah. Kiwi
Oh,
dude that was around. I hadn't seen him around for a while, but yeah.
I don't know him.
Did he
Um,
pass? Did he pass away?
I guess that's what somebody just said. Rest in
That's
peace,
terrible,
Kiwi.
man.
So that's what I'm saying. If it's true, that's a sad moment, man. It was
It's
sad.
terrible.
Just like when I
A real,
heard that
mm,
LES Truth, when I heard he passed, man, I was like, no shit. I liked having conversations with him about fishing and shit, like the
yeah.
difference, to like the Florida water and like,
He's always
you
dead,
know, he
huh?
was telling me how shitty it could turn quick down there. Like, you know what I mean? It turns quick here, shitty, but not like
Yeah.
it does down there. Like,
Me and Les were cool. We were massive. We were massive. He was a massive Yankee fan. I'm a massive Yankee fan. So we always would talk about the Yankees. So God bless him. I hope he's in heaven having a good time.
I didn't know
If
Kiwi, but do we need to do anything for him, or do y'all want to
Kiwi
do
Kiwi
anything
had
special?
some health Kiwi had some health issues. I know Kiwi was very close to Spike. So
oh
I'm
yeah,
not sure.
that's true.
Yeah, very close to Spike. He had
Kiwi
a
would talk about like the crayfish there, and he'd like like show pictures when he was on panel and shit, and
How
it's like,
old was he?
I mean, I think he was at least in his 50s, possibly. I could be
yeah.
wrong. I could be wrong, but I think he was up there. It wasn't a young man,
He was in
but
his 50s. He looked rough because he had I think lung issues. He had lung issues and stuff like that.
yeah,
So
some type of. I knew he had some type of possible terminal thing, but I don't really know what it was, so I'm not gonna speak on what he had. But I just know he was sick. I know he was sick, and that's sad. That's a sad moment, man. To
To be honest with you,
yeah.
man. I mean, we all that's the bigger problem is our mortal coil to how we get. The older we get, the more
Get
susceptible
shuffled
to how we have
off.
to be. It's a really really harsh thing to say. Like,
I know,
I'm
but but
now,
some
now
people,
we are
some people get
we get
healthier as they
old.
get older. They change their diet, they change their patterns, and so some
Yeah,
people
of course, yeah.
Well,
some
is there anything? What do you need from this community right now? All of you Kiwi people. Is do you want to end the stream and like I don't
Oh,
know,
easy.
use the day to celebrate Kiwi? Should I keep the stream going? Just let me know what you need. I didn't know this person, so I will defer
Well,
to
I don't know
everyone who
why
knew
you would end it.
Kiwi.
He wouldn't want you to end this fucking stream. I
No,
mean, no offense
no,
to Mike, but Mike's up here.
yeah.
Kiwi would
Jeff.
love a chance to troll Mike. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah, he would sit, yo, Jeff.
like
This
you
guy
know
would,
what I mean? Like he'd love trolling Mike.
In
yo, he would.
fairness, I didn't hear Mike say anything negative. He seemed to be talking pretty descriptively.
No, no, no.
Yeah, he
Because
would.
like Kiwi and Mike just I don't believe seeing eye to eye. I think that's what they're referring to. Like Kiwi, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Kiwi trolled Mike a lot. I think that's what they're referring to.
Um,
So like
yeah, he would. No,
that's just all I'm saying. They had their trolls back and forth. So that's
he
the
would.
point they're making. But you could still
He would.
troll somebody and still feel horrible about somebody passing. So but
Yeah, I think so. Like I
Dude,
said,
he
I
would.
don't. I'm very out of my like
but
over
that's
my
what
head
they're
here. I
referring
don't
to
know
when
this
they're saying,
person,
you know
so
what I
He
mean
I'm
about
just.
just to let
he
you know
was.
that's what they're referring to.
I want to do the right thing and the respectful thing, and I want to
He
give
was
the
legend,
community
dude.
whatever they need here.
Dude, he would troll the.
STO, I don't know. We haven't. I'm just saying, someone in here. So we're just saying, if it's true, it is a shitty moment. No one's
Yeah,
actually, I guess,
yeah.
Well,
confirming
that
it.
just sounds like if it's blanket, any word that comes out of Mike's mouth is gross. That just sounds like a bias against Mike more than anything else. I'm not going to indulge that. I want to be realistic about this, and I know there's a lot of Mike bias, so I need to sift through that.
So me and Kiwi did have some arguments, but I did make amends. I apologized to him, and then after that, we were cool for like the last year. We were totally cool. Like there was no problems. And so like for them to bring this back up, like I said, Don't focus on me because me and him had a couple arguments, and then we squashed it. That's it. That's all it was. We squashed it. And other people, I'm not going to say her name, Leggy, you know who I'm talking about, caused more
Well,
chaos
I
for
don't.
him
Well,
than
I
you
don't
did.
know if I do for sure.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about, the talking about the registry and stuff. But I was just me and him got into some arguments, and then but I apologized to him, and we were cool. We were cool for a long time. But he would troll the shit out of me. Dude, he was good. He was a good troll. He was. And God bless you, bro. God bless you. And if this is the truth and he is passed, if he has passed, I wish him nothing but the best in heaven, man. And that's the truth. I'm not trolling right now. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
I
I don't
wish him
think I don't think
nothing
you would
but
troll
the
about that. I don't even
best.
see how that would be a troll.
Yeah. But I mean, people say things that they don't mean, is what I'm trying to say. But I wish him nothing but the best and
Well,
enjoy
I
heaven, man.
didn't know him, but I'm very sorry to hear about
Yeah.
Kiwi as well.
He was funny. He was an Australian guy. He'd come up and he had that thick Australian accent. And it was like so heavy. It was more than Just Us. It was like so heavy, his accent. It was
The
crazy.
first time I seen it, STO,
Yeah.
just us is the one that said R.I.P. Kiwi, and then I said, if it's true, that's a sad thing. Then we got on this subject, so
Yeah.
that's how we got talking about it.
God bless him, man. God
I
bless
have
him. And I
not
hope.
heard of Lincoln Kane. Anybody know that person?
No, I've never heard of that.
Oh, is he another? There's probably a whole other sector of YouTube we don't know about.
Well, let's all give Kiwi his props. Hopefully he's resting in peace, and just not no pain no more, or no bull crap anymore. So, Kiwi, salute, brother, salute to you. Even though me and him had problems in the past, I don't hold anything against anybody.
Well, apparently he was a New Zealander, not an
Yeah,
Aussie.
yeah, he was different.
Hey, Tommy.
What up, Jeff?
Tommy,
What up, Leggy? Salute.
What's going on?
Not much, man. Just wrapping up work. Got like an hour left.
Oh, he's still getting your
It's
stream in.
it's dead.
God
Yeah, it's pretty
damn,
dead here.
it's a long fucking day.
Well, I started at 9. Get done at 6 today. Only 2 days out of the week I gotta close the shop though. The other 3 days I can leave earlier.
Sorry, I was talking to a family member. Sorry about that.
But yeah, it's cool. What are you guys talking about?
My sister came over. We have a family member in extended care.
Um, Before that, we
Good
were
word.
talking about what were we
Yeah.
talking about?
Kiwi, Kiwi.
The laws, whether like following law, domestic violence, and civil law, criminal law. I don't
Oh
know. We
yeah,
talked
you were
about a
talking
hundred different
about
things just
Cops
in the
them
getting
last half
arresting
hour.
arrested,
aggressor here
people
in
getting
Maine. That's
arrested
how
by
it is.
cops in different
Because
Yeah.
states.
So Tommy,
my
Tommy,
Somebody
buddy
has
and
a
his wife got into it, right? And the
somebody has
cops
an
showed
idea.
up.
Wait, I want to hear
They
Leggy. He's telling a DV story. Go ahead.
Well, my buddy and his wife got into it, and the cops showed up, and they had him in cuffs and all that. And as soon as she admitted that she threw the cup of water on him, which is what started the whole fight, they took him out of cuffs, and she went to jail because she
Yep,
was
She
the throwing
initiated.
the cup of water is what initiated him.
that's how it
Him
goes.
him throwing the
yeah,
cup back at her.
yeah.
That's how it goes, man.
Yep.
If you
Yep.
start it,
So, the thing is, there's so much when you do with when you deal with DVs. There's so much paperwork. So if no one is injured or no one's really hurt, you kind of just you separate the two. Look, you need to leave. You need to,
yeah,
in other words, someone needs
Well,
the executor needs to leave. But the
as
thing is
far as
that
where I live, about 25 years ago, there was a really bad case where that happened. Nobody was quote unquote injured. Well, they left. They come back about 8 hours later, and it was a horrific scene. Let's just say it that
Mhm.
way.
Yeah,
There was a lot of gore, I should say, and a lot of innocent lives that was taken that shouldn't have been taken. If you're
hmm
catching my drift,
hmm
yeah.
because
Domestic
of it.
violence
So
turns
there's
into murder a lot.
so my county and the sheriff department here since then has definitely made it a mandate that on a DV, somebody goes to jail. The aggressor goes to jail, guaranteed. And it's an automatic in the state of Maine. The state picks it up, so you can't come back and say no. I don't want to press charges, but the state automatically picks it up here.
My
So
favorite movie of all time is Shawshank Redemption, and it was shot in Maine.
Great movie.
Yeah, prison in Maine. Yeah.
well, I don't think it was shot in Maine, but I think it was based in Maine.
Because
Yeah.
is that a Stephen King? He's up in Maine, isn't he?
Yeah,
Is he
yeah,
really?
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
What's
So
that
Leggy,
feedback?
Do you say lobster or lobster with the A?
Lobster.
Lobster. Come on.
I think. I mean, it's a lobster. I don't know. I'm a lobsterman. Like, what the
My
fuck you want
boy's
me to
from
say?
Connecticut.
I mean, if
He
you
goes,
want me to turn on the heavy Maine accent, it's a lobster. Lobster, bud.
lobster.
Lobster.
I'll get you a lobster from the wharf, bud.
So
I'll
Not a
even
Leggy,
drag it to you
lobster.
and have
let
it
me ask
yard.
Lobster.
you, let me ask you, Leggy, a question. Do you drink Moxie and do you eat
No.
whoopie
Fu-
pies?
no. Fucking Moxie's fucking gross. And what did you ask me if I eat?
Whoopie pies.
Oh, fuck yeah. Fucking right, dude. Dude, I love peanut butter whoopie pies.
That's a
Them-
Jeff. That's a Maine
Is
thing.
that the same as a moon pie?
What's a whoopie
No,
pie? Yeah.
A
Please
whoopie
tell me what
pie
a
is
whoopie.
like,
Tell me what a
usually a
whoopie
whoopie
pie is.
pie is like a chocolate, like cake type thing with like a
I'm
frosting in the
looking it up
middle.
now.
It's like a sandwich. It's like a
Oh, they look
sandwich.
kind of good. They look like the little Debbie
But
oatmeal
like they
cookies.
make them different flavors, like chocolate pumpkin chip, uh, uh, uh,
These things.
what maple walnut,
They do look good.
like the
yeah,
fuck
they're good. They're
yeah, dude.
good.
I
And I don't
do
even eat
believe that's
sweets.
the dessert of Maine. I think
So we
they
have,
even have a whoopie pie festival and everything.
in Virginia Beach. It's off of Great Neck Road. We have something called a Taste of Maine. Right. That's the name of the place. A Taste of Maine. And
Do
they
they have
have
red hot dogs,
yes, red hot dogs.
red
They have
snappers?
What
they yeah,
color are
but
hot dogs normally?
Not what do you
not
mean?
red.
You got
Not
They're
look.
red.
Oh, as
There's a
opposed to
very
Or
if you
beige or
come to
pink
Maine,
flesh
you
color?
have to have a red hot dog. There's a reason why too. I
We had
can't
them growing
remember
up. I
why, but there
remember
was a
red hot
reason
dogs.
why they started dyeing them red up here and why it stuck, and I can't remember why. But it's a
what color are they
main
when they
reason.
don't dye them?
Ooh, they
I
have
mean,
lamb.
the
They're
natural
made from
casing,
lamb
like
casing
that
too.
flesh. They're like a
yeah.
flesh color, natural.
Yeah,
They
that's
put
disgusting.
they put the
They
different
said
casing in
there
it.
was no logical reason for it other than marketing and catching
Yeah,
attention.
It's
yeah,
like
but
But
that
then you
movie
pretty
Nothing
much.
But Trouble with the Wieners. Remember? They were
Oh
oh
my
like
god, I
none of you
Man,
love
I'm
that
learning all
movie.
remember
kind of
You
stuff
know,
these.
I
today.
just watched that movie for the first time,
Tommy,
like
Oh, it's
all the
so
way
Tommy,
through.
gross.
Like I always
Tommy,
remember
go to the
watching it,
bathroom.
like on
Wait, I
TBS or TNT, and
is
like
it
it would always be like they would
no?
already be in the court, like when it
Wait.
happened, like
I
that
love that
scene where they're
movie.
coming
The
into the
thing, the
court, and then you
thing
got
is,
Humpty Hump and
oh,
shit. Like when you
Yeah,
had
Humpty
them,
Hump was in
I
it.
remember
Yep.
Humpty Hump. If we thinking
right?
of the same
Tommy,
person, the
That was when
rapper.
But I
Pac
never
was with
seen the
him.
beginning of it. Like I never seen him get chased by the cops until the other day. I just go, no fucking way. I go, I didn't know this was part of the movie.
I'm telling you one thing. Listen, I'm a hot dog. I love hot dogs. I love hot dogs. You got red hots. You got kibasas. You got, like you said, the rippers. Rippers are from New
Oh,
Jersey
we
where they
know you
deep
like the dogs,
Is
Mike.
that when
You
they
like the
steam him in
dogs.
beer, Mike?
yeah, yeah,
The place.
they
Remember that they
no,
steam him in
that's
beer?
limbs. That's limbs. They steam them in beer. That's
Yeah,
limbs.
they're world famous. They were in the
But
Irishman
Well, I
movie. I
was
remember.
hungry.
but they have rippers where they deep fry the hot dog where they break open and it's so crispy. It's like chips on the outside, but it's juicy on
Oh,
the
I like
inside.
a crispy hot dog. I like a
But
crispy hot dog.
there is nothing like, okay, as the
I like
Italians we would say.
Nathan's. I like Nathan's.
Nathan's is good, but an
Yeah.
Italian sausage with
The Chicago beef Italian beef
onions and
sandwiches. Those are the
peppers.
best.
Yeah.
Mm.
All that stuff is good.
We
Not
I
better
mean,
than a Philly cheesesteak though, but pretty
we got a
close.
place we got a place down
yeah.
here called the Beach Bully, and they smoke their brisket, and you can ask it for rare, medium, or well. I always do
Okay,
rare,
now
always do
I'm
rare,
really hungry.
and they'll slice it real thin. They'll put it on a freaking soft potato bun. Forget it, man. They give you this. The juice on the side, you dip it.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh my God, dude.
Mike, you making me hungry, making me crave
And
a beef
you taste the
sandwich
smoke, you taste all the seasoning in the beef. Man, it's unbelievable. It's called the Beach Bully. It's been around for like 40 years.
from
It's
Jersey.
amazing. No, this is in Virginia Beach.
Oh,
The Beach Bully. Oh my God, man. They make their own um beans. They make their own beans and stuff, but I can't eat them because they have pork in them. So I don't eat pork anymore because they put the pork in the beans.
You don't like pork and beans, huh?
I don't eat
can you
pork
get them on
anymore.
the side? Just
No,
pork and
no,
beans,
they
hold the
make them.
pork.
They
Talking
make
about
them.
pork and beans. Have
I'll
you
say,
ever
where
seen
do you want
any
me
of
to
you
put the
guys ever
pork?
seen the movie Porky's? That fucking movie's awesome. Fucking
Yeah,
hilarious.
I haven't ate pork in a long time. But
I know, Connie. I haven't eaten lunch yet. I'm starving. I'm just
Fucking
my appetite just got kicked up to here.
yeah,
love
I
Yeah,
it.
I
tell you
want a hot dog.
the one thing I miss the most, the one thing I miss without
I
anything
love
else.
bone broth. You know, when you make the bone broth or chicken
The
stock,
what?
Yeah.
bone broths. You know, when you
Who?
make it, a lot of the I love, kimchi and all that stuff. You know, the gut.
Mm,
Is that some
You
British
know,
food?
oh no,
that's
no, it's
Korean. That's
Korean,
Korean.
man.
Kimchi? Oh
Korean,
yeah, I don't like all that
Japanese.
stuff.
This is some of the other stuff. It depends. The gut culture is so important. You know, it's
Oh my
The,
unbelievable.
god, haven't had boudin in
yeah,
years.
that's gotta say. The one thing I miss the most is sliced thick Genoa salami. Like I
Oh,
miss.
Genoa
That's a
salami.
That's
great
Oh
all we
wait, let
meal.
me
buy when
see.
we
Hang
buy
on.
six stone.
What you
Bro.
showing us, Tommy?
Oh,
This
that's
is
Oh,
your
my
work?
toolbox.
good, man.
Yeah,
Oh man,
my
look at that
workstation.
shit. Fucking
Do,
good,
do you
man.
know
Look
how
at all
much?
that.
Do you know how much those tools, Jeff? Those
Oh
tools are
yeah,
worth like a
huge.
hundred grand.
Whoa,
They're worth like 100 grand.
big workshop. Oh, look at that
An
engine.
engine.
Oh,
Oh wow.
banging.
This is a
Fuck
cool ass
yeah.
car.
Oh my god, look at that.
Oh man.
Cool
What's this
little
guy got?
beaver.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Get the size of
Wow.
this though.
Oh, that looks like a car that a Satanist would drive.
That's
Oh,
sick.
this is
I
your
love it.
car,
Look
Jeff.
at the
Look at
oh
the gear
that's
shifting,
sick.
dude. It's
Holy
got a
Jeff,
shit.
I can
freaking
see.
devil on
Jeff,
it,
I can see Jeff in
man.
that car with the
Wow.
I
rainbow
would oh my
headlights.
god, totally. We used to have little VW bugs growing up
Look at the
until
headlights,
it
man.
caught on
Mm.
fire and almost killed half my family.
My aunt had one. My aunt had one, right? When I was like 5 or 6 years old, we would drive. I remember it. We would drive around, and it always made that weird noise, like
We
the
used to
bug
take
would
the
do
hoods off of them and put them behind
that
us.
weird
Yeah, I like
noise.
bugs. Bugs are
Yeah,
cool.
and now
That
they're
is
worth a fortune. If you have a restored bug, they're worth a fortune.
Especially the generation. There's specific ones that are worth a lot.
Oh,
My
like them
boss
Like,
fucking
collects them.
16 window buses, man, them VWs. They're fucking worth a lot of
Yeah,
money.
remember the hippie buses? Yeah.
Yep. Them 16 window ones.
Yeah. You know,
Them
yeah,
are
those
the
yeah.
bands
hot.
used to tour in those things, man. They used to like tour. Like White Zombie when they first came
Yeah.
out, toured
What
in
were they
a
called? What were those
VW.
buses called? What were they called? The vans, the
They're like
Volkswagen
VW
vans.
buses. I forget what they're actually called, like the
Yeah.
model of it, but
You
yeah,
remember the
they're
VW,
cool.
the thing with all the like,
Oh, yeah, the thing. Those are pretty cool looking.
yeah.
You
Yo,
know, it's
VW
funny
had
how like during World War II, right? So talking about VWs and stuff like that. World War II, the Germans were like the most technically
Oh
advanced
man.
country. And then after World War II, like fucking the US got like everything, and then now we import all them cars. Like
Yeah,
and
but
then
you
them are
know
the,
that
and them are the
Mercedes
best
and
cars in the world too. Some of the best cars.
BMW, all those German companies use slave labor back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Like they all have. It's all Bosch is one of them.
I
Bosch
mean,
used to
still
make.
today. I mean, you
Slave
think about
labor.
it.
Well,
Your
I mean, who
Nikes,
knows
your cell
today?
phone,
Yeah.
your iPhones, your
They're
fucking
talking
Motorola.
specifically in the Holocaust, though. But yeah, who
I got a
knows, man?
Bosch. I got a Bosch dishwasher, and I have to salute it every time I walk past it.
Salute it.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. Salute the Bosch.
But
The
it
Chef
Bosch
is
got a
true though.
salute.
Like that's
saluted it.
what That's why like we had a lot of the all of our technology came from a lot of the German scientists. It was really
Yeah,
true,
yeah.
and
We
it
took
makes
them
you
all.
wonder why at that time were they so much more advanced? Why were they
Operation
so
Paperclip.
yeah? Why were
Yeah.
they so invested in
Bro.
to
Come on.
Leggy,
modern
they
technology.
had
Like,
alien
I mean, ancient
technology.
technology. Why were they
They
so
had
invested
alien
in it?
technology. That's why. They had
No,
alien
I didn't say
technology.
alien. I never said they had alien technology. I said why
Yeah.
were they so invested in, like, the ancient
No, that's
past
what
and shit?
Mike's saying. Mike
Oh,
thinks the
Oh,
Nazis
because they
had
could,
alien
man. Because they were
technology.
seeking something else.
That's
Like
a
Hitler's
theory.
empire from the Prussians, there was a difference between that and why that came to be, right? There's many arguments here, from the French Revolution, where the Red and White Army happened in World War One, and again, you guys are speaking about America. America waited in both wars to choose who they would back in both
Of
wars.
course. It's a
Yeah,
game. It's a
because
game
they
of
were
cat
sick
and
and
mouse.
tired of, again, they were sick and tired of what Europe was, with the church, with the kingdoms, all those things. They escaped from that, correct? Now that's how your new world was born, the new
Well, I'd
world
like
of America.
When I worked on it, yeah.
I'd like to know what I'd like to know, and if anybody ever wants to do a stream on this, I'd love to get into what the Vatican knows, the Catholic Church knows. The Catholic Church and the Vatican has so many secrets on UFO technology, pyramids. They have archives of information,
That's not the
and that
only secret they have, though. They have lots of secrets,
yeah,
unfortunately.
I would love to get into that. Like just
Do you think they
to
have alien technology in the Vatican?
they have the knowledge of it. Like
What
it's
makes you think
written
that? What makes you think that?
because they're the oldest, most powerful organization. So people would report back to them. And then
Oh,
you get
okay.
into exorcisms. People talk about exorcisms aren't real. I
Okay, real
think
quick.
Oh,
Mr. B
extra.
sent me a photo of Kiwi that he said I could share. So if you guys want, I can show it.
Photo of what? Of what?
Kiwi.
in memory. Yeah, if you want to, it's up to you. It's up to you,
What
Jeff. It's
happened
your
to What
channel.
happened to Kiwi? Did he
He
pass away?
passed. Passed.
Apparently,
I guess
that's the
that's the
rumor.
rumor right now that he has passed. But
Oh,
no,
dude, that's horrible. God,
Oh, well,
bro.
that's what Mr. B sent
Yeah.
me.
That's not Kiwi, dude. I've been on open lives with him
Oh my
dozens of
God.
times. It is not him.
Oh,
That's
is it?
that's actually very disrespectful to do that because that's not
Who?
him.
Yeah, like who? What's that?
Oh, you know
Like
what? Hang on. I
Jeff shared the wrong picture.
dude, was that
no,
was
no,
that
that
wasn't
was me,
something
y'all.
that
When
you
I
got from a
downloaded it,
grinder account, Jeff?
hang on,
A
let me
photo.
explain.
All right, go
When I
ahead.
downloaded it, it put it in a folder, and I told it to show it, like to pull it up to. Let me see how I explain this. I said show in folder, and it had
Mhm.
that picture highlighted instead of the
Well,
actual
Jeff,
Kiwi
just
one. So
admit
that
that
was
that
my
was an
error. That
excellent.
was not what
That's
Mr. B sent me.
Oh, okay,
Jeff.
okay. That's what I knew. That was one of your photos.
Yeah,
This.
okay. Well, Jeff,
That's Kiwi. Yeah,
yeah, there
that's
he is. There he
Kiwi.
is.
That's Kiwi.
Well,
That's
The
he's.
Kiwi.
I
last
Yeah.
think.
picture
Well,
was
he's still handsome.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope he,
Jeff's last
man.
picture was from Tuesday. That was his date from Tuesday.
Nah,
He's
that's an
still
old
in.
picture.
Man, that is sad
But
to
it
see
probably
him.
was one of my
God bless him, man. Oh, it's horrible.
take
Mhm.
our love with you wherever you go.
That's
We
rough,
shall
man.
go
That's
too.
rough. Yeah, man. Well, hopefully he's in no
How old
pain.
was he? He doesn't look that old.
Well,
I'm
remember
not sure.
when you're in not mental, when you're in physical decline, you look older than you really are. I think he was about my age. I think he was in his
Oh God.
50s. Yeah.
Like 50s, Mike? 50s?
Yeah, I think he was early 50s, I think.
Early 50s? Yeah.
Yeah. I think. I don't know for a fact, but
Man,
if you look in his
sad.
eyes, he looks young and he looks like me, like young enough to be like,
Well, thank you,
49,
Mr.
50
B.
years old. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I know he was battling hard, man. He was
Oh,
battling and
man, that's so
yeah.
fucking sad.
I was on panel with him a few times. He had a hard time talking because, he had a hard time speaking because of his mental illness. But mental, I'm sorry. His physical illness, not mental, physical illness. So
His lungs.
I wish him nothing but the best, man. And I'm so sorry that he's gone. I hope that he's in peace right now, peace and tranquility. And I mean that. I'm not bullshit. I want him to be without any pain. I can argue
Yeah,
with
it's better
somebody.
if he's not suffering, if he was suffering,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I don't want anybody to suffer. So.
yeah.
Well,
Only
I'm
me.
very sorry.
Only make me suffer. No, but
He was very nice. Very nice
yeah.
guy.
It's funny. We would
Oh
get
yeah,
into
very
little
nice.
fights. We would get into little fights and stuff. We go back and forth, and he'd like, "Shut up, Mike," with his accent.
Mike, he fucking hated you.
You wanker. And I'm like, whoa.
Like,
It's so hard to tell, really, who hates
Yeah.
Mike.
What happened? What happened was is that someone with a sock account was making fun of him, and it wasn't me, and I wasn't wrenched, and that's what happened, and that spun all that
Then they
craziness.
mistook it for you.
Yes, and I
Yeah, that
tried to
happened to
make
me
it.
the other day.
Yeah,
that is
well,
definitely a tactic that they use.
that's honest to God what happened. That's honest to God
tactics.
what happened. It was never. It was in other words, we were never on panel talking to each other. I had an
It was in the
argument.
chat.
It was somebody in chat with a sock, to stir people up. That's what it
Because I
was.
have
And
seen people come in with socks of you before doing that same thing.
yeah. That's why I
Joe
say
used to
wrench me.
say fucked up things about him when he
If
was
you
mad
wrench me,
at
I'm
him.
not going to time anybody out or get rid of it. I timed
That's
someone
what it
out when they were talking
was.
to my son. That was it. But if you wrench me, you know it's the real me. But all these fake accounts come in. But no, I never had a problem with Kiwi. I never had a problem with him. Never. But this person came in, stirred the pot, which I'm sure it was Joe. I'm sure it was Joe. Stirred the pot to get him all pissed off, and then this is what happened. And he's like, "Fuck you, Mike. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything." But that's what they do when they
I
run out
think
of
Who's
content.
Joe?
he got upset with Joe with like Vegas Valley was mad at
Oh,
him
the
one
one
day
that's
and
in jail?
he said
Yeah,
some fucked up shit to him and you know, just leave it there.
yeah. But I think it was a manual. It was definitely a sock account. It was not me. It was, dude. I have no problem with Kiwi. I have no issue with him. But they come in with your avatar, with your name, and they stir shit up to create chaos
I've seen
for
them do it. They've done it to me.
for
That's
clicks
definitely
and
something
views.
they do.
But I would never make fun of a man who is, having problems with his health. I would never do that. I don't do shit like that. Now I made fun of Ladybug and her linking
All right,
her
I'm out of
leaking.
here, Jeff. I'm
Yeah,
going. I'm peacing out.
Okay, take care,
Bye.
lady.
I won't, man.
Take care.
Like I made fun of Ladybug with her leaking foot, but it was a joke because she's not going to pass because of that. It was a joke. But I would never make fun of anyone who's going to pass. I would never do that.
But how do
That's
you
just
know? Like, you never know who's going to pass until they pass. Any one of us
um,
could pass.
you could. Yeah, it could happen.
I
What are
think he
you do?
means if somebody's
What are,
sick. Like
what
if
ha-
somebody's
What
sick.
do they do to your mead?
What?
Is that a Harry Potter wand? What is that?
Harry Potter.
It's actually just a fucking, when you eat Japanese food, Chinese food is,
Bruh.
yeah, literally, you get them free, sometimes.
We got to get you like a big top hat, like a magic
Oh, do
wand. You
we?
just walk
Oh, that'd be
around.
great. That'd be great. I have like a
He
fucking,
has he has like several.
who knows, yeah, who
You
knows.
look like a dirty Viking.
Idaho, yes. Actually, we didn't for a while, and then the drama community came over,
Dirty white.
and we had a
What?
bunch of it, and I've gotten it down to
Whoa.
manageable levels.
I don't like
We
that.
have drama light, but
Dirty
there's still
white.
residual drama.
What's that like?
Residual
Blackface?
drama.
Plastic. You look like you're about to go conquer a town somewhere in Norwegia.
That's funny. Yeah.
with a big ass like a freaking sword coming in.
What the fuck is he talking about? Conquer it.
All
He's
these
gonna
women
Good
conquer
Lord.
a
belong to
town.
Hey,
you.
Alan.
Sick of this shit.
He said he's gonna conquer a town. That's funny.
Yeah, but that's why I have all the gold and silver stuff behind me,
If
don't
you
I?
telling me if you're telling me that plastic is not half Viking, you guys are insane. That's a Viking. I know a Viking when I see one. That's a Viking,
Yeah.
no doubt. You came to America on an old wooden ship. Don't
A
lie,
British
Wes.
Viking? He must be the
Yeah.
Saxon part of the
He said that
Anglo-Saxon.
about Jack, I think he said. I think he said that about
Yeah,
Jack.
so
That's a good
plastic-
look,
He
actually.
came
You look like
over
a
on his ship.
painting.
Plastic has enough money to fly to America, but
That
he
mead
chose
must
to
be
go on
kicking
a,
in.
Plastic chose. He has money to fly, but he chose to come here on a 1652 ship. Just don't lie about it, dude. Just be honest.
1650.
Plastic, have you ever
That
said,
reminds me, I
"Arr"?
think the new episode of RuPaul UK is out. Let me
To be
check.
honest with you, America has always astounded me. And you know why? Because I grew up a fucking Mormon in Africa.
If
Really?
someone cut into
Yeah,
your goatee, would you lose? Would you
Asian,
lose
a lot
power?
of
If someone cut
Americans,
your goatee, would you lose
Mormon,
power?
mainly Americans. But yeah, in Africa, I grew up there. Yeah, and I
That's what
saw
I'm-
the apartheid fail. Yeah, I can say
It's
it's
South Africa? South Africa?
yeah, South
South Africa.
Africa, Botswana,
Yeah.
Namibia, the places I grew up
Oh,
in.
okay.
Hey, Shift.
Johannesburg.
Angola, Mozambique, Malawi,
Oh,
Kenya.
Yo, so Plastic, what do you think about Rhodesia?
Oh, well, what do I think about Rhodesia? Why would I think about that?
I mean,
What
because there
would
were
make
South Africans that wanted to make their own country, correct?
no, it was the British. It
they
was
wanted to make their own country?
John Rhodes. Was
Yeah.
it? No, it wasn't. It was
Oh,
another
wow.
one. The British failed. Uh, Look,
Mm.
these things are immaterial of why they happened. To me, it was like, are we going to keep this empire? Are we going to keep it going?
What?
Oh, it's true.
You mean in person, Idaho? It's
Wow.
You got to
wow.
you got when you guys get a chance, if no one knows about Rhodesia, you guys have to research that. It was crazy. It was basically a bunch of white farmers that took over like a part of a country, and they were fighting their asses off, dude. They were fierce. They eventually lost because of the overwhelming odds.
Is that the
But
Boers?
no, Rhodesia, they were white. And was it who were they? Zambia? Was it Zambia? Who was it?
It's Zambia. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
North Rhodesia, South Rhodesia,
Yeah.
British. Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, totally. But the British then later on
Mhm.
actually created the colony. The people worked with it. Okay, amazing place. And later, what happened after the Boer War is that they had to fight the communists, which were the
Mhm.
Russians, out in Angola. And that happened in 1960s.
Mhm.
Yeah, where the black and white actually fought together to get out the Russians. Huh. You know,
And the
during
same.
that time, man, that's when Israel started arming herself.
Mhm. Yeah. And the same thing happened with France. France tried to occupy Vietnam and they lost. They failed. They tried to colonize Vietnam. France did. And that's why there was French colonies in Vietnam, deep in Vietnam. And it references into like Apocalypse Now when they go through and there's like little French colonies. And yeah, they tried to colonize. But I don't know if you guys know this, but did you know that South Africa was an actual nuclear power at one time?
It still is.
I did not. Is that true?
Technically, it still is because they have nuclear weapons. Yeah, they produced them under the apartheid regime. Yeah.
They got them from France. They got them from France.
No. Technically, it was developed between a few empires, huh?
Mhm.
But again, like where does the the Uzi come from? Yeah.
But Israel,
Yeah, and the Israelis got that from the South Africans.
and the Gale rifle is amazing. I've shot an Uzi. They're amazing. Very
Uzis?
accurate.
Are they?
Yeah,
What is
Uzis.
that?
Yeah. If
Wow,
so, tell
really?
me if an Uzi is Israeli made, so like an AK, like an AK-47, they'll make them from China, from Russia, from different places in the world, Romania.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if it's from Russia, it's the most
Yeah, that's what I
accurate
heard. Russian AKs are
gun
the
in the
best.
world. An Israeli Uzi will not lift too much, so you can put suppressive fire. But it's a 9mm, but you use hollow points, so it does sprawl. But it's what's called the room. It was the conversion to our MP5. The Heckler and Koch MP5 is a
The
9mm.
MP5, wasn't it used in Vietnam?
Yeah, but the
MP5s?
MP5, hang on, in the MP5, you actually had to push forward and hold back at the same time into your shoulder to get the good
You pop,
accuracy.
yeah, you pop it on your shoulder and you pop the bullet. You pull it,
No,
yeah.
you had to hold it in your shoulder and pull forward and then fire because
Mhm.
as you fired, if you didn't do that, you would get like that. Seriously,
Yeah.
you shot them, yeah. So you know that this you have to pull and squeeze, but it's like you know it's
Yeah.
coming.
So when you're firing, if you're firing an automatic, if you fire an automatic weapon, it's going to lift. It's going to lift up. So you have to kind of
Shit.
brace it. That's why they have the shoulder stock, and that's why they have the rope on it, where you pull it to your shoulder and you hold it so it doesn't lift.
Okay,
You know?
for me, the best kill,
Yeah.
okay, or for humans, with them is say what would I say, a 600-meter radius from me, depending on terrain and all that stuff. All right, would be a 5.56 round.
Mm,
That's what I'd use between that. You
yeah.
understand? If it was over a longer distance over that, I'd go 303. Yeah.
So I have both. So I have an AR-15, which is 5.56. It's a
Yeah.
custom
Yeah.
desert camo with a
Yeah.
sight.
Stopping.
5.56.
Oh, I
And
thought
then,
you had an AK, Mike. You have an AR.
no, I don't have an AK. I have a
Are,
5.5. I
are
have a
ARs Russian? They're not Russian made, right?
no. They're American. Mine's a
Okay,
Colt.
so it's an
Caliber,
American. Okay, I was
caliber.
curious about that.
Yeah.
Okay, yours is an AR,
And
not an AK.
and I
Okay,
have a
got it.
Remington 303 with a scope. So so in other words, the 303 is what you use for hunting. It's basically like a sniper
Yeah,
rifle,
but
you can
if you exactly as a like Afghanistan, I would say 303 because of the plane. Yeah, if you got the good
yeah.
scope and you're there, the 303 from like fucking 4 mile will get you. You know what I mean?
It's a
it's
heavy
good.
bullet. It's a
Yeah,
heavy
and it
bullet.
will get you.
Yeah.
If you have the right, you know what you're doing with that. Good scope, bang, bro, dead.
You got to show the
But
Benelli, Mike.
generally,
Show the
in an
Benelli
area
one
of
day.
operation, I would want a 5.56 because of what it
Yeah.
does as soon as you hit
And
somebody.
you can
Just
modify an AR-15. I'm sorry,
that,
go ahead. You can modify an AR-15 to be a sniper rifle, but it has to have a longer, has to have a different load in it, different bullet in it, and it has to have a different barrel
it
without a
doesn't have
flash
the
effect.
stopping power. It can go
Different
there,
barrel too, Mike.
but it won't
Yeah,
have.
different barrel.
Yeah, but you have to make sure that the target is hit. It won't
Yeah,
have that
you got to
stopping
put the
power.
scope on it, don't you? Or does it already have a scope?
Well,
Uh,
it's
you,
different.
you're not just going to get
So
the head.
yeah,
Uh,
it's different. Like you have to have an extended scope, like a leopard scope or something like that, like a long distance scope. But like on my AR-15, it's just the laser tri-sight. So in other
oh,
words,
it's
it's for
laser. Okay.
close
Yeah.
quarters. In other words,
Oh,
the
it's for
laser
close
points.
sniping. Gotcha.
Yeah, the laser points and you just boom, 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 boom. But the other rifle has a long distance scope
And you
with
you
the
could put a
tri-sight.
scope on it if
So
you wanted
it
to,
looks
right,
like
Mike?
it looks like an X, like almost like Jesus. It looks like a cross, and then that's
Yeah.
the long distance. And you can adjust on top. You can adjust it for the magnification, so you can for range. And that's the
Wow.
rifle we used to hunt with. We hunt with that rifle. It's great. It's
Yeah, I'm
good.
sure
It's
for
good.
long. Well,
It's a
I
great
don't know if
rifle.
you use for long distance. You would have to have a
Yeah,
scope for long distance, I
but
guess.
you can hunt with anything. You can hunt with a handgun if you want.
Well,
You
yeah,
can do
of
that as
course.
well. But you want to take if you're hunting, you want to take an animal clean and quick. You don't want to make the animal suffer. You don't want to do that. And
No,
you also
not at all.
don't want to put too much powder burn in the animal because it goes across. If you're going to butcher it, you don't want that have to get all of that powder
Okay.
out.
Okay,
Yeah,
so when America goes hunting animals, it's deer, bison. Yeah, what's the biggest
yeah,
one?
deer. Don't they have
Bear.
rabbit too? I think.
Yeah, rabbit. Yeah, you get up with a rabbit.
Rabbit,
Go, "Rabbit,
deer,
you'll go
fox.
with
There's
them."
foxes around here. I mean,
Yeah. So when we hunt rabbit, if we're so when we go hunting, we carry different firearms because you don't know what you're going to encounter. You're not going out for one thing. You don't know what you're going to encounter.
yeah,
So you may use a larger caliber for a larger animal.
come
But
prepared.
like a rabbit, use a 22 long rifle. Use a 22 caliber because you don't need to be because if you hit if you hit a
Yeah,
rabbit
you
with a
don't want anything
5.56,
bigger than a 22 for a
yeah,
rabbit. small.
If you hit a rabbit with a 5.56, it's gonna
It'll
explode.
explode.
Yeah,
It'll
it's gone. It's, you know,
explode.
boom. You know, but yeah,
Imagine doing that. That's horrible.
it's like what the hell? It's like
There'd be
shooting
nothing
someone with a
left to
missile.
eat.
They're gonna blow up. You know, but the biggest problem is that when you hunt, you have to think about powder burn and
Yeah.
gunpowder.
You don't want to
So I
infect the
think
animal with it.
so. What I think that the best thing to do is if you know how to bow hunt. Like I said, my brother-in-law is a very big bow hunter. He
I was
bow
going to ask you
hunts.
about that. Crossbows. Crossbows
Yeah,
or
an actual
okay.
bow. He
Oh, an
uses
actual
an actual.
bow. Okay.
It's
Okay.
not. It's called a compound bow, and the bow, brother, the bow itself has a sight on it. These bows are so good that they actually have
Oh
three.
yeah. Yeah.
They actually have an actual like a gun sight on a bow, and
Yeah, I
it's
think I've seen
cheating.
that before.
And they can
You
pull
think
it
that's
back.
cheating with a sight on a bow? Yeah.
No, because we're not all Native American. We're not born to hunt.
Yeah.
But no, it's just. But if you hunt with a bow, it's very humane to where
Oh
there's
yeah.
no
Probably the
there's
best
no
way to
sound.
kill an animal.
It's
Hey,
silent. I
M,
mean,
M, M,
you let
M,
it go,
Yeah.
I, I,
silent.
I grew up in Africa, and when we used to hunt, okay, like when I learned to hunt, all right, you have to follow the the herd, you know, and then get the good shot, take it
Track
out.
it, right?
Yeah,
Track it.
track it exactly,
Yeah,
exactly what
track it.
downward. Choose the one, choose it. Make sure you know which one you're going for, and try
Mm-hmm.
hit it between the legs, upright through the heart, especially through the gut and that. You want to get it through that fucking chest cavity out the other
Mm.
side. Yeah, and then generally, if you don't, you have to trace it because they run. All of a sudden, this thing runs, it bucks, and it goes like almost 60 kilometers. Some of it, and you got to find it. You can't
Remember I
just leave
talked.
it behind.
Remember I was talking about this. Sometimes you have to track the animal half a mile away.
They do,
I was
but
talking about this.
on top of that, then you have other
Wow.
animals that smell that, and you on top of them, and they're on top of you because they're going to go, ooh, blood.
You bring your dog to track it, right? Your
Oh no,
dogs
no,
will
no,
help with
no!
that.
This is hunting. This is a military training that I did out in Africa when I was proper doing it.
Yeah.
We had to have like a few rounds, do a mission over like, you're looking like 60-mile radius, if not more, and hunt, kill, get it out, get back. And show what you can do, how much you can get away with, bang. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was hard
Tommy,
work, man.
Tommy, get the boys into archery, man. You'd love that shit.
Yeah,
Archery is
that sounds fun.
awesome, dude. It's so awesome. It's so primitive, and it's just like, and it's just cool, dude. It really is. Like hunting with a bow and arrow it's just so primitive. You know, it brings you back. But you're right. So, Plastic, you're right. You have to hunt. So basically, Tommy, when you hit an animal with a bow, or even a low caliber, you have to hunt it. You have to basically track it because they're gonna jump up in the air, then they're gonna scamper off into the
Yeah, they won't
brush,
die right away. Yeah.
and you have to find where they're at, and then you got to bring them back. That's the biggest problem. If you don't have like an ATV or something like that, you got to drag the fucking thing. You got to tie its
Oh,
legs and over your shoulder and pull it back to where your post is. So
jeez.
it's different, But the greatest archers ever were, I'd probably say, the Native Americans. They would hit game on horseback. That is like unbelievable focus
The
to be
game
able
was
to
on the
do.
horseback.
They're on
No,
horses
they would be on
and
it.
they're
They
hitting
would shoot
game with bow
shoot
and
bow and
arrow.
arrows while
And you
riding
hear,
a horse.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're jumping up and down and they're hitting
That's how
all
they
these.
fought their wars too, It's
They're
like
unbelievable.
I mean
They
they
were the
yeah, if you
greatest.
think about it, they are pretty unbelievable.
They're the greatest warriors I've ever seen. I mean, people talk about Knights Templar, talk
You've
about
seen,
women.
you've seen them,
No, I've seen all the
the
documentation on how they would
videos.
hunt and how they would
You saw
move and how they would. But
They
yeah, no, they
certainly
were amazing.
are a fierce warrior for sure.
Yeah. They got a sword.
Without guns. I mean, just
What is that? A sword?
I think later on they got guns. Didn't they get guns later
what?
on? Like, because they would capture them from
What is
That's
that?
a
They
before.
would.
bow, bro. That's a
Oh, a
bow.
bow.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
they would.
Check that out. He's got
Yeah,
one.
so Tommy, they would never given guns, but they would capture them.
Yeah, they would
They would
capture him.
capture the
Yeah.
guns. Yeah, but the problem was that they didn't know how to clean them or maintain them. So a lot of the times they would use them for maybe one fight and then discard the gun because a lot of them were Henry rifles, and which the most
Or muskets,
amazing
right?
rifle.
Muskets, maybe too.
Yeah, muskets and Henry rifles and repeating
Yeah.
rifles, but they didn't know how to clean them, how to maintain them.
Yeah.
So once those rifles got really dirty,
They
they
would jam
misfire.
up.
They would
Yeah.
jam. They would misfire and jam.
And then they would just discard them because they didn't know how to fix them properly.
That's it.
That's interesting.
Because you have to
It's
maintain your
amazing how
gun.
they made weapons back in the day with like swords and iron. They would like cast swords and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that. That stuff is so cool.
The one thing that I'm obsessed with is samurai swords. Like
Oh, they're so dope.
the way they make, the way they do the layers and layers and layers of the metal
Like in
and the
Kill Bill,
blade.
Yeah,
Jeff,
just like
that
Kill Bill,
swords,
Jeff.
Tori Hanzi steel.
Yep.
Jeff, those swords are so sharp that they make a noise when you move them through the air. They make
Yeah.
a noise when you move them through the air.
Yeah.
They're cutting, Jeff. They're cutting the air as you
They're
move this
cutting
blade.
the air.
Yeah,
The
Like
very
that.
molecules.
Yeah,
you
they
hear a
make that
whistle.
noise. I
You hear a
love that
whistle.
noise. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true, dude. These things are, I mean, literally like the sharpest. Like you take a knife out of your drawer. Imagine a knife 100 times sharper. Like it's
Jeez.
just, but they're folded and they're built, they're beat and they're sharpened and sharp.
They could decapitate somebody with one swing, just like
So
right through.
there is a
Wow.
museum in Richmond. It's the Virginia Art Museum. It's the Virginia Art Museum, and they actually have a whole exhibit on samurai. Okay, and we go there because my son loves Japan. He's been to Japan multiple times. He likes to drift and he loves Japan.
Does he go there to like learn how to fight too? As
No,
far as fighting.
At the
he's a
museum.
big, no, it's for vacations. It's a vacation.
Oh, okay.
But he's a big kid. He's a big kid, dude. He's bigger than I am. He's big. But he was walking around Osaka. It was Osaka, and because he's 6'1", probably about 230-ish, and he's very, very built. And people were walking up to him and just like touching his arms. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, what the fuck is this? They're like, ooh. And he's like, I showed pictures. My son's big, and they're just like squeezing his arms. He's like, but the Japanese, they're so nice. They're like so accommodating. They're such nice people.
They're probably so
But
much smaller than him.
Oh,
Like,
dude, he
standing
said the
next to
lady.
him and shit.
Yeah, and it's funny because he was there. He was there with my son and my other two daughters, and she's like, "You come with me?" And like, in other words, you want to go bang? And my son's like,
That's what that means?
I'm good. I'm good. And my son was, at the time, he was what? He was 20 years old. He's like, I'm good.
Yeah, he's
Good.
probably in his prime.
Yo, there. He went to the one part where
They
there's
probably wanted to
deer.
marry him and go home with him to America.
This handsome, attractive, good-looking Italian kid,
Yeah,
and
I bet.
he said he's just standing there. They're like sitting there talking. They're sitting there talking, right? And she goes, "Ooh," and he's like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" But he didn't get. No, my son is the sweetest, nicest guy. But he was jarred. Like, why is this person grabbing my arm? Because they're not used to seeing really big people. Because they're used to seeing little skinny guys, But
Don't they have the sumo people over there?
yeah,
Sumo wrestlers are big.
But
Yeah.
no.
Not skinny.
My son went to the match where Yokozuna won, and Trump was there, and my son was about 6 rows back. He didn't meet Trump, but he got to look at him. He got to see him from across the room. But when they were there in Tokyo, they got to see the match. Be spectators in the actual match. I said all this before. This is all the same shit I've said before. But it was cool. But they went to a sumo match. They said it was crazy. It was wild.
Was
People were
it?
there screaming. They were there screaming and shit.
Probably a lot
And
of
then
gambling there, Mike, at the sumo matches.
probably yeah. And then
I'm sure they
sumo
gamble.
and Japanese, they love baseball. They're like
Yeah.
baseball fanatics.
Yup. Baseball. Yup.
So they went to a Japanese baseball game, and they said it was wow. People were screaming and yelling and like throwing shit. It's like, yo, it's like what the hell? You know, it's funny because the things that I'm saying are actually true. This is not bullshit. You know, I like talking about my life. I like it. But no, my son had a great time in Japan. He said the people were so nice. They were so accommodating. They were just really awesome people. But it's very expensive. Very expensive.
Is it? It's expensive?
Yeah, super expensive. So he goes, Dad, so we're
Wow.
talking through texting, right? He goes, Dad, you know, me and I'm not going to say my kid's name, me and my other son and my daughters, we want to go to lunch, but we want to go to a really high rated place that has Japanese Wagyu beef. You ever heard of that?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. Is it really good beef?
It's the most expensive beef in the world.
Oh, dude,
Japanese
Is it
five
really?
it's so
Wagyu.
good.
Yeah,
Most
J5
Mike.
expensive? Wow.
Check this out. The only time I've ever had Wagyu beef was when I worked at the marijuana collective. I was running it, and the owner took me out for sushi, and he ordered everything on the menu and told me I had to try everything with him. And then he was,
Wow.
oh, I forgot my wallet, and the bill was like $320.
He said
That's
he
it.
forgot his wallet. Dude, first of all, he made you eat sushi. Second of all, he made you pay for it. Oh, shit, Moose.
I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this. So my son says, Dad, you know,
Wait, hang on.
gotta go.
I need to find out from Moose. Did he reimburse you at least?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He
I hope he
reimbursed me,
would.
but for that night, like it was like, oh shit, like what if I didn't have that money? You
Did you
know?
get sick, Moose? Did you get sick eating all that sushi?
How
No,
was the beef?
the beef was very very small and very very expensive, but tasty.
Ridiculous. So my son says, Dad, you know, I gotta go back to the bank, get some more money. You know, I don't know how much it's gonna cost because over there they don't put prices on the menu.
No?
It's like
How do
there's no
people know how
prices.
much
How
things
do you know
cost?
how
That's
much?
ridiculous. Not
Yeah,
putting price.
dude. How do you not
I
do
don't
They,
believe
that?
they
that.
do that in Spain and France as well. There's no
No.
prices. It's just
You're
a
just
la
supposed
carte.
to know how much it costs.
So,
That's
so he
lazy.
gets
Yeah.
so it's lunch, right? It's lunch. It's not even dinner. And I said, well, son, this is what I told him. I said, son, son, this is your trip. Put it on the Amex because I give my kids, you know, I give my kids my credit cards. Like in other words, I make them authorized users, you know, on my credit
Yeah, so
cards.
they can use it.
And I said, just use the Amex so I can get the points. I'm thinking it's gonna be like $50. It was $187
Wow.
For how much?
for lunch. $187
For one person?
For one
for
or two
one
people?
person. For one person.
One person, dude. Are you
But you said he's a big guy.
Yeah, but dude, 187, Jeff? That's like, wow.
180.
One person?
I don't know how much he
It was-
ate.
It wasn't a
He
lot.
might have had the whole
It wasn't a
menu.
lot. He said it was
Cheaper than
Yeah.
Moose.
He said it was
Cheaper than
really
Maine.
good. He said it was good, but he's like, he saw me. He's like, Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was going to be that much. I said, son, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just whatever. Just don't go back there again. But you know,
Just don't go back there.
But how do
Don't
you,
go
if
back.
nobody puts prices, how do you know where to go
He said, don't go back.
as an alternative? They
Don't go
might
back.
be just as expensive.
Well,
Yeah, that's not fair.
This was like a really famous place. It was like a famous, and you know, it was called Teppanyaki or something like that. And they wanted to go and
That's
try
where
the
they
Wagyu.
cook on the grill, on the
Yeah.
table.
I thought that
Yeah,
was
they cook it right in
hibachi.
front of you. But we'll go to Shogun. We'll go to the Japanese place, and we'll go to Shogun, and it's $25-$30 a person. It's not
Yeah.
$187.
That's about how much it is at the hibachi place where we go.
And I wasn't mad at him because this is, you know, he's on his vacation, he's on his trip. I wasn't mad at him. I'm just like, man, that's a lot of fucking money. And it was just for him only.
Hopefully he didn't
I-
get taken
yeah, I-
advantage of.
I believe you. Kill the noise. I
Yeah,
don't
That's
think
wild.
yeah. He's like, Dad, it was good, but when I saw that bill, I didn't know what to do. And I said, because you can't not pay in
Right. There's
Japan.
nothing you can do other than
Yeah.
pay it.
Yeah. So I said, I put on the Amex, and that's it. We're
Good thing
done.
you have that gold.
Yeah. So put on the Amex, and we're done. And that's what he did. And he just kept apologizing. I was like, that's all right. I was like, just next time, don't go back to a fancy restaurant. Eat cheap. Because the
Well,
problem is
speaking
that
of eating cheap, that's about what I'm about to go do.
yeah.
So, does
But a lot of
anybody have? Y'all want to wind it up?
Yeah,
a
I'm
lot
gonna
of
jump
these
down.
countries-
Thanks for having me up, guys. It was nice seeing you. Have a good night.
Take care.
You
man.
too, Tommy.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of your day.
Yep. Salute.
Plastic, if you're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Take it
Is
easy.
there anything you want to send us out on?
Yeah, don't worry. Be safe.
Mhm.
Peace out, Mike. You have one last story.
No, you do you like my stories? Do you like them?
They make me hungry sometimes.
Jeff, on everything holy, this is true. Like when I saw $187, I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. I was like, whoa. But yeah, it is what it is. But no, I think a lot of times when people go overseas, they get taken advantage of, and I think that was
Well, that's what
you know,
killed the noise. So you're saying that the English prices, if you read Japanese, you get the cheaper prices, but if you only read English, you're stuck paying the higher. That doesn't even seem fair. Like, how do they get away with that?
They're very sneaky.
I would just point at the I would say I want this price and point at the Japanese price.
Really. But hey, you know what? I can say that my son went to Japan. My son had the best Wagyu beef in the world, was olive Wagyu, which is the most rarest beef in the world. I mean, he had it. It's an experience for him.
Yeah,
I'm
I guess you
happy
got to cope somehow for
Yeah.
that price.
You got to look at the positive, Jeff. You got to figure out the positive in the whole situation. You know.
Yeah.
But he was so scared I was gonna get mad at him, but I wasn't mad at all. I love my son, so I was like, no, son, it's all right. It's all good. You know, it's all good. But yeah, you gonna jump off, get something to eat?
Yes, I am. My cheap little TV, like $2.99 TV dinner.
Yeah.
It's not Wagyu beef, but it's gonna satisfy me today. It'll
I
have
got
to.
turkey.
I don't have any red hot dogs or deep
Mhm.
beef or anything else.
That's it. Yeah, man. It's great. I think I think our conversations are really cool because we switch topics. We switch topics.
Oh,
We
did
have
we?
fun.
Oh, did we ever? Here's some last minute fashion advice from one of our gays.
Yeah.
They want to see you in tighter
You want tighter.
upperwear.
Oh, tight. This is a button-up shirt. I mean, I don't know how tight you want it to be.
I don't know. Do you have any? What do you call that fabric? Not lycra. Or Under Armour. Do you have any Under Armour?
I have Under Armour t-shirts.
Yeah,
I wear
maybe
t-shirts.
one of those next time.
All right. And I'll sachet. I'll wear you want me to wear a scarf? I can wear a scarf and flip it
I
over
don't.
and
Sometimes sachet can ruin an outfit, as can a scarf. Maybe just stick with the tight.
got it.
I don't know. Just show up and I'll tell you. We can modify from there.
I have very broad shoulders and I have big arms, but it's all right. So yeah, I don't like to wear stuff too tight. I might look like a
Like your son.
failed bodybuilder or something like that. But it's all good.
Oh.
But hey, man, awesome. Have
Well,
a good time.
just
Dude,
passing it on.
that's it, dude.
Like a toy.
I'm having antler withdrawals, dude. You got to.
I am too. You think you're having them? Yeah. Maybe I'll put that. Maybe Santa will bring me some for Christmas.
Well,
He
does
has plenty of
Santa-
reindeer up there.
Well, does Santa like Satanists?
They'll never miss them.
I'm not sure if Santa's down with Satanists. I'm not sure. I mean, I could be wrong. You know, is there
They're like
Jeff,
one letter off? How?
So Jeff, is there like an extra Santa for Satanists? Like there's like a Santa Satan, and then there's like regular
Krampus? In there, Krampus? Maybe Krampus will bring me some antlers.
Maybe.
I'm sure he won't
Just
scruple.
But Jeff, just don't get cramps yourself.
Yeah,
All right.
I will try to avoid those.
We always have fun. So I'm sorry to hijack it again, but yeah, we always have a good time. You always.
Well, I mean, if not you, who? Nobody else.
Yeah.
Nobody else does.
You let me carry it.
It's free for the hijacking. If somebody else wanted to hijack it, they could come up here and try to take it from you.
But the one thing I always do, I always maintain, I'm always loyal to you. I'm always good to you. So I always, if I carry it, I'm not talking about anything bad. I'm just having funny memories of life and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with our conversation. And you know, when I do, I get pretty good at redirecting.
Yeah. Got it, man. Listen, I'll let you go. I know you want to get something to eat. Eat your crappy. You're probably gonna eat a kid cuisine or something like those little shitty nuggets and shit like that.
I
But
think it
no,
does have it's mashed potatoes, nuggets, and then tonight's Survivor night. So I'll have a pizza ready for that. So
you need
no
to eat better.
fireside chat tonight. I'll be watching Survivor in the
You
Discord.
need to eat better, dude. You need to get a pound of ground
But
beef and make it
I'll
better.
be here tomorrow, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. noon.
Right
Catch
on.
me then. Who knows
Right
what
on.
kind of
All right,
chaos we're in
Jeff.
for tomorrow.
Jeff, take care, man. It was awesome being up here having a great conversation about all different kinds of things. Take care, man.
Bye. All right. Yeah, isn't he like, yes, he gives you, right. I look forward to Krampus this year. I think I at least deserve a little bit of antlers. Peace out, Austin. Thanks for watching. I'm exhausted. I need to go recharge, refuel, regroup. You know what? Let me find a panel for you guys. I don't have any of the drama panels on my list, so if there's drama panels out there, you'll have to find them on your own. Actually, it looks like nobody is currently streaming on my list. TML's going to be streaming later. He starts in a couple of hours. I'll drop his link. He's doing Dragon versus Tiger, Atlantis versus Shambhala, Cthulhu versus Hundun, Apollo versus Dionysus. So check him out in 2 hours. He does good, long, unpredictable streams too. What's Hundun? Hundun. Oh, it's that little elephant creature with wings. Well, go check him out later. Learn about Hundun. There's his link. Take care, everybody. Alan, Zentz, Austin, everybody else. Good to see you. I'll be here tomorrow. I'm going to go eat, catch a nap, and get ready for Survivor. So, see everybody then. Or tomorrow. Take care. Get some beef or something. A hot dog. A whoopie pie. Whatever. Treat yourself. Treat yourself good. Take care.